want to make sure that I acknowledge the sponsor of the show, Tiege Hanley, because Tiege Hanley sent me this new pack. They sent me the new Tiege pack, so I just literally pulled the paper out, got it out of the mail, and I started going through it, and I got a little bit more excited than I should. You know what I'm saying? So they did send me the Tiege pack, and I don't even know what this is yet. So I'm assuming this is what you get when you first order your Tiege, and I don't know what this is. Oh, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. Is this a nail kit? Ladies, get this for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. This is free. This just comes with it. 30% off your first order, plus 20% off for life. Literally. Oh, snaps. I didn't know that they were sending it like this. Real talk. So this is the nail kit that they sending you. All right. So now you ain't looking like a dusty. This is a free gift straight from Tiege for the people that ordered the Tiege. They got the small one for the little hands like mine's. They got the big joints for your toenails. And then they got the joints at the bottom too. You know what I'm saying? For y'all that's a little bit more crustier than usual. All right. So that's one of the free gifts that Tiege got inside of the pack. And then what is this? Says squeeze a quarter size amount of Tiege Hanley body wash on the center of the wet bristles. Lather, scrub, rinse, and repeat for the perfectly satisfying wash every time. So that's inside of there also, right? Ooh, I can get my rubber ducky on right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege for sending me that uncomplicated skincare for men. And then what we got in here? We got the actual Tiege pack, right? So this is the normal Tiege pack. But then they gave me the supersized joint for the people. They wanted me to show the people exactly what they got when they ordered that first Tiege pack, when you're getting your 30% off your first order, and then you get your free gifts. You get 2 free gifts, and then the 20% off for life. So the 20% off for life is a new thing. And, dang, I ain't even got my keys on me to open this up. Maybe I can use the little nail clipper thing. I ain't got to buy no nail clipper for my new joint downtown. And then you get all of the washes, all of the scrubs, all of the AM, the PMs, and all of that stuff. So you got the whole thing inside of there for you to make sure you take care of yourself. But you got to make sure you take care of it every day, right? We don't want to miss days. We don't want to be looking like dusties. It does not absolve you from being able to make sure that you brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. It don't fix the teeth problem. Don't fix you ironing your clothes. Don't fix you being able to take care of your business. But it absolutely makes sure that your skin is phenomenal, even when you go in between shaves. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege Hanley. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold us down. I might do an official Tiege commercial, but I like just talking authentically to the people. I like giving the people the authentic look of what it is that you're dealing with, and I want you to hear from me personally. Because anybody can do that little pitch and they can make some little videos, but very few of us can actually speak to the products of exactly what it is that you're supposed to use. So yeah, Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order and then 20% off for life. That's the Anton Daniels pack, 20% off for life. Using any other Tiege pack, make sure that you go ahead and let that go. And make sure you tap into the link that's in the description and take care of it, all right? What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm your host, Anton Daniels. Good morning, friends and family. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are absolutely the greatest audience on earth. I don't like that. I like my undershirt showing. So what's happening, friends? Did y'all enjoy the show last night? Y'all said a little late, but good morning. It's today. How does it feel like to just have a regular job? I don't even know what that feels like anymore. Honestly, I genuinely don't know what that feels like anymore. Like to just be a normal person. I don't think that I would love being a normal person. I would absolutely lose my mind if I was a normal person. A lot of people was texting me that I know in real life, and they're like, dog, you still at the studio? Most days I am. Most days during the week, and sometimes even on Saturday, which is one of the reasons why I block off my Sunday. I'm here till late at night. I just so happened to really get caught and wasn't able to get even over to my downtown spot. I wasn't able to get over there in time because we were shooting and taking care of business and working on a new show and trying to make sure that stuff was set up and then putting stuff in place so that you guys don't miss anything. And then I had a bunch of stuff from a business perspective. Then I had a real estate meeting late yesterday, and then corporate America and all of that. So this is what it takes. Honestly, this is what it takes. Most days you don't make it home. People think that I bought that downtown spot because it was just something nice to have. No, we bought it because it was hard for me to be able to make it home at night, and so it was easier for me to be able to sleep there. Some days you wind up crashing out here, and then you get over there early in the morning, you take a shower, you make sure you get shaved and all of that stuff, and then you get back. And so I think a lot of people take for granted the normalcy, the beauty in normalcy, the beauty in being able to wake up, and it's a lot of it is just because you haven't experienced the other side of it. But I will tell you that it is a dark side, if you want to call it that. It's a dark side to success. You can't do what normal people do. It takes a lot. You know what I'm saying? Your family don't see you as often. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that. They think that success is just about money and passive income. Man, you can miss me with that nonsense. I don't know anybody, and I know a lot of people that are incredibly successful. I don't know anybody that just passively gets rich. It just don't work like that. Sometimes they work really, really hard in order to ultimately get to certain spaces in their life to where they can then relax. And then even then, they don't necessarily cut it off. You know what I'm saying? But in a general sense, you work hard. You work hard. You don't get to see your family multiple days throughout the week. Some people travel. Some people are immersed in work even when they're on vacation. They got to be on point all the time. A lot of people on my team, they normal people. They want normal lives. They got to take vacations. Quentin needed some days off in order for him to be able to do what he got to do. Q, she need days off. She's a girl, so people have regular lives, but as the person that's always at the top of the food chain, you don't get that. You don't get that because you're at the top of the food chain. You know what I'm saying? They don't get PTO days and stuff like that. And I think that y'all think that it's something that it's not. No, you only get 2-3 hours of sleep sometimes. I mean, I was off at 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 something in the morning last night. Had to take care of some more business, wound up getting to sleep at about 1:45. And then you back up at 4:30 in the morning and you back at it, So, yeah, man, it's different over on this side. I want to acknowledge a few people first. I want to give a shout out to my guy, Mike That Dude. Shout out to Mike That Dude on Cash App showing me love. I appreciate you, big dog. I also want to give a shout out to a few people, early super chatters. Shout out to David Williams. I salute you, David Williams. Thank you for supporting the platform. And my dog, Christopher Williams. Thank you, Chris. Says, I'm going to send this now since you will be celebrating tomorrow, and we will have a show tomorrow. All right? I'll get to that in a minute. Happy anniversary to Anton and Rita 4 times with happy birthday, Melody. Thank you, and Rita, for being an example of what a successful marriage looks like. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you for holding me down and supporting me. And thank you to everybody that got good energy and good love for what it is that we do over here. I really do appreciate you. You guys don't have to. I always say that I'm never, ever going to ask for it. But I always like to acknowledge the people that always like to support me. Tomorrow, it will be 20 years. I'll get into that. I'll get into that later. So we'll talk about that on another show much, much later. All right. Thank you, Christopher Simmons. I appreciate you. And thank you to everybody that's tapped in for the Millionaire Morning Show today. Y'all ready to get started with the show? We got a lot to cover. Y'all ready to get started with the show today? All right. Let's get to it. What we got today? Quick hits. Quick hits, lady and gentlemen. Quick hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to dedicate an entire segment to, but we definitely want to keep you guys informed on what's happening out in these streets. And first things first, a lot of Miami and Florida neighborhoods are still underwater. Take a look.
looked like a beginning to a zombie movie. Just cars littered everywhere on top of sidewalks, in the median, in the middle of the street.
13 years, there's been storms, there's been rain, heavy rain, but never like this. This is extreme.
I don't think I want to stay around here because guess what? It's only going to get worse. And honestly, I don't want anything to happen to myself or my family.
Why do Floridians, especially when it floods like that, and especially over in Miami and things, why do Floridians, thank you for the Cash App, I'm going to be reading that shortly. Why do Floridians just walk through the water and wade through the water like it's cool? I don't understand that. Y'all got alligators down there in Florida. Listen, you know how you know if it's a gator in the water? If it's wet. If you see water down in Florida, don't go over there. It ain't like you up in Michigan. It ain't like you over in Chicago. It ain't like you over in Milwaukee. It's not the same as being over in California on the beach. If you see water over in Florida, it's a strong possibility that it's something that can grab you up in that joint, and it's not going to be a good look. Y'all got to be careful. I don't know. Y'all built different down there in Florida.
And honestly, I don't want anything to happen to myself or my family.
Two very different scenes of extreme weather are impacting areas down south. In South Florida, heavy rainfall is causing unrelenting flooding for a fourth consecutive day. Rain has surpassed 20 inches in several areas. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has declared a state of emergency in 5 counties. Meanwhile, Atlanta finds itself in the center of a heat wave. The city is bracing for temperatures that will tease triple digits this weekend. We have team coverage for the latest on the severe weather across the South. Let's go ahead and begin in Miami with CBS News national correspondent Manuel Bojorquez. So what is the cleanup like? I mean, there's still standing water everywhere. And is the area where you are expecting more rain?
The rain is in the forecast for today and even going into tomorrow. That's the big concern here, because even a moderate amount of rainfall would be falling on already saturated soil. Throughout the day, because we haven't had much rain yet today, we've noticed that the water has started to recede in a lot of the neighborhoods that have been impacted. But yes, in pockets like here in this neighborhood in Miami, you still have all this standing water. You can imagine the headache that's causing for homeowners here. The area here, South Florida, remains under a flood watch through tomorrow. But again, the chances of rain remain in the forecast. The hope is that the kind of break we're getting right now remain more consistent, and then people can turn to the cleanup phase.
This is normal. I mean, maybe not as bad down there in Florida, but this is pretty much the standard quo. Standard quota down there in Florida, especially down in southern Florida, is all of that flooding. And that's why I say I would never invest in Florida. It's so much wrong and so much that can go wrong. That's why they don't build basements over there. We so used to basements up here in Michigan, but they're not used to basements down south. But it's so bad down there as far as the flooding. I like to visit, especially in the winter, when it's not hurricane season, after November. And then I like to get up out of there by March. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Florida. Pray for the people down there that continue to get their homes washed over on a regular basis. Bikini barista wind up throwing a hammer through somebody's windshield, but this is what happened. Check it out.
Well, a bikini barista fighting back after that customer threw his order right back at her. All of it, as you just saw, caught on camera. Thanks for joining us for Fox 13 News at 5. I'm Matthew Smith.
And I'm Hannah Kim. The aggression forcing her to call police, pressing charges. But the video shared...
Why would he do that? Hold on, listen. I know that we don't have respect for women that dress scantily clad. I'm not sure why y'all going through the bikini barista. I seen one of them joints out in one of the suburbs of Michigan, probably some years back, like way before the pandemic. And I was driving by, I was looking at that joint, and I'm like, man, don't nobody want no coffee from no bikini barista. You know what I'm saying? But they be like these little huts. It look like a little hut or whatever. It's not like a whole coffee shop. It's like a little hut. And it's very, very small. And then I guess you drive up and they be scantily clad and they supposed to be serving you your coffee or your hot chocolate or whatever. Man, listen, bro, you got to be a very, very, very desperate person to see some box to drive through the bikini barista, because the one that I seen and the lady that was walking in there, she looked just like a meth head. I'm like, they just put a bikini on anybody and y'all just ride on through, huh? But anyway, I don't know why he would do this. This is so disrespectful. And this is, I don't care who you are, this type of, and this level of disrespect should not be implemented on people.
And social media is sparking debate on both sides. Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman spoke.
Hey, hold on. Homegirl had a hammer in the back. Where did she get the hammer from? It looked like she never even got wet in the first place. But he threw the drink on there and she put a hammer through my man's windshield. See, all of that tough talk, and she gonna come through with a hammer.
With the barista.
Hold on, let me rewind this.
On both sides, Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman spoke with the barista.
And he's still being calm.
On both sides, Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman spoke
with
the
hit
barista.
Him.
There's a lot that's happened within just the last few moments. I mean, take a look. Seattle police are here.
Look how small that thing is. You see what I'm saying? It's like a little hut. It's like you can buy one of them things from Home Depot and then you put it right in the middle of a parking lot or something like that and plug it up. And you have a little scantily women that's walking through it.
With the Bikini barista. This is after we're told the man in that video returned to the area. Businesses refuse service, but in the meantime, it's unclear whether he's trespassing. After posting this viral video, though, some have gone as far as blaming the barista and asking what she did to deserve the customer throwing the drinks at her.
Fam.
She says she did it to hold him accountable for his actions, as this is not the first time he's been disrespectful.
So he sound like that dude from Players Club that showed up at Diamond's house. He already been trespassed from the property. He wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. He pull up with his own iced coffee and throw it at the chick, and then the chick return fire with a hammer through his windshield. Okay, well, you deserve what you get. You shouldn't have been pulling up to the Bikini barista in the first place. This is how people get hurt. This is how people get hurt. He should have never been there in the first place.
Off the bustling street is this compact and tiny coffee stand. Standing confidently behind the counter,
they gotta put bars
Emma,
up.
A bikini
Look at that. They
gotta
put bars up on a bikini
Standing
barista.
confidently behind the counter is Emma, a bikini barista who can start prepping her regular customers' coffee order.
I got you.
Before they even pull up. It's
Look
more
at the
than
hands.
just a taste of heaven. Her hard work has paid off as she went from being an employee to owner.
When it went for sale, I was like,
Heck no, man. I ain't pulling up. I don't want no chick like that. Man, get out of here, bro. You can keep your clothes on, fam.
I need it.
What she didn't need was this. A mix of shock and fury. Emma's moves are swift. The customer's windshield shatters. The aftermath of what Emma says was a 15-minute heated exchange with a regular customer over the price of a coffee and water.
You don't get.
The dude was arguing over the price of coffee and water, and then he had to drive off with his windshield shattered.
Name your own price.
But it's what the customer said she took personally.
It was a threat. It's okay for him to be outraged about the price of his drinks enough to assault me, and he is over 1.5 feet taller than me. But it's not appropriate for me to respond.
Police were called the day of the incident. The barista filed charges for a misdemeanor assault. The one thing that remains clear is that the man is not allowed to return to the area. We know that
it's wild out
the
there.
Man himself could actually take the barista to a small claims court to get his windshield replaced.
Nah, I don't think he's gonna be back. Hey, be careful, man, out here in these streets, bro. Y'all don't want to be out here getting assaulted by bikini baristas. And then last but not least, over the weekend and over the last few days, Southwest is under investigation for multiple different plane incidents. Check it out.
The FAA investigating 2 mid-air incidents on Southwest Airlines flights. One jet's sudden plunge coming with and a rare rolling incident at 34,000 feet. ABC's Trevor Ault explains.
Tonight, the FAA investigating 2 concerning incidents on Southwest airline flights. In April, a Southwest Boeing 737 MAX 8 off the coast of Hawaii came within just 400 feet of slamming into the ocean. Bloomberg reporting inclement weather caused an aborted landing attempt on Kauai. The report citing a Southwest memo stating the less experienced first officer inadvertently...
No. Somebody said, no, it's not appropriate for you to respond. It's absolutely appropriate for her to respond. I don't care if you got on a bikini or not. You don't throw a drink on somebody. That's crazy, bro.
pushed forward on the control column, then cut the speed, causing the airplane downward. Soon after, a warning system sounded alarms the jet was getting too close to the surface, and the captain ordered the first officer to increase thrust. The plane then climbed aggressively at 8,500 feet per minute. No one was injured, but the flight was diverted back to Honolulu. Southwest now saying the event was addressed appropriately, as we always strive for continuous improvement. Then last month, another Southwest Boeing 737 MAX 8, this time en route from Phoenix to Oakland, experiencing a rare event at 34,000 feet, what's known as a Dutch roll, when an aircraft simultaneously slides from side to side and rocks wingtip to wingtip. The FAA incident report says the flight regained control, and the post-flight inspection revealed damage to the standby power control unit. No one was injured.
As of now, this is not something for passengers to be concerned about.
Boeing
The
catching all of the
NTSB
L's,
would have
bro.
grounded the fleet if they saw something that they were really concerned about.
Trevor Ault joins us now. And Trevor, these incidents are coming to light amid new safety concerns. The FAA now investigating how counterfeit titanium ended up in passenger jets.
That's right, Whit, and it's jets from both Boeing and Airbus, and the common link between them is a company called Spirit Aerosystems.
Well, how long have we been talking about Spirit Aerosystems on this platform? We've been talking about Spirit Aerosystems, not Spirit Airlines, Spirit Aerosystems. Spirit Aerosystems is a unit that was spinned off from a plane manufacturer that was ultimately is in negotiation right now in order to be bought by Boeing in order to control the quality control issues that everybody have been talking about inside of this company. I've been talking about, and I did a whole segment on Spirit Aerosystems. And the dude, it was a whistleblower, right? It was a whistleblower that came on here, and the dude was like, yo, they got so many quality problems as a supplier because they make the tube that's basically made up of the airplane, of the Airbus, and I mean, not the Airbus, but the Boeing planes and stuff like that. How do you get counterfeit titanium?
Which does manufacturing for both. And they say that counterfeit titanium made its way into the supply system through falsified documents. Now, Spirit Aerosystems says all those parts have since been removed from production, and they, along with Airbus and Boeing, insist all planes in the air are still safe to fly.
That's crazy.
Important information.
So be careful. The last thing that I think about when I jump on a plane, the very last thing when I think about jumping on a plane is whether or not the plane is going to go down. It's just really not a thing. You know what I'm saying? But ladies and gentlemen, that is your quick hits. All right, let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. Shout out to Hut Sojua, says, good morning, AD. Are you still doing coaching calls? I reached out in January. You got to send an email, send an updated email, AntonDaniels413@gmail.com. I don't think I'm going to be doing any more this week in particular, but we are scheduling, I believe, for July and August. So email me at AntonDaniels413@gmail.com. I appreciate you for supporting the platform. Self-Made Forever is in the building, says, my nephew say he want my Jeep. Signing a loan to him on Monday. $41,000 loan, $762 payment, $620 for insurance? Neff got finesse. He can have that. Cash cars for life, bag chasers for life, debt-free man is a rich man. Your nephew is crashing out. I don't know what to think about that. $762. So basically he getting a $1,400 car, $1,400 a month car on a $41,000 loan, $762 payment, $620 for insurance a month? $620 insurance for a month for a Jeep? Somebody's license is jacked up. Amir Taylor says, great morning, Mr. AD, celebrating 43 at the gym. Congratulations on your 20 years of being successfully married. Thank you, Amir Taylor. I appreciate you. Forsaken Archive says, I saw your boy Lance at the church. The Trump thing was on TV. Yeah, that's my dog. Shout out to my dog Lance. He was there. He hit me up and said, yo, man, I'm going to be at the Trump event in Detroit. So that was pretty dope. Anyways, let's continue on with the show, ladies and gentlemen, because we have a full show set up for you guys. First things first, Chicago. So it was an incredibly deadly weekend in Chicago. And while a whole lot of people, I believe more than 70 people was injured in Chicago over the weekend. Chicago was studying making sure that they give back reparations to black people. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get into it, y'all.
Another particularly violent weekend in Chicago after at least 45 people were shot across the city, and this morning another 25 people wounded in two separate mass shooting incidents.
WGN's Courtney Spinelli is live at Chicago Police headquarters with the latest. Courtney.
Yeah, Ray and Lourdes, it was a particularly violent start to the week on the heels of Father's Day weekend. Chicago police investigating a handful of shooting incidents, including 2 deadly shootings in the morning hours today and 2 shootings that left a total of 12 victims wounded, including a teenage girl who was shot in the neck, taken to the hospital in serious condition.
Back in the streets, you know, because they got body over there.
A large gathering in the Humboldt Park.
Hey, did y'all see the language that's being used? Brandon Johnson has effectively trained Chicago media to refer to a whole bunch of people that's somewhere where they're not supposed to be. Why is it this many people inside of a gas station? This is a gas station. This is a parking lot gas station. And you can bet your bottom dollar 100 times out of 100, when there is this many people in a place that they're not supposed to be, past a certain time at night, there is going to be violence. There is going to be somebody that beefs, somebody that fight, then they're going to pull out a gun, and it's going to go negative. I've seen it 100 times out of 100. He has trained the media to use the words large gathering.
Back in the streets, you know, because they got body over there.
A large gathering in the Humboldt Park neighborhood.
Hey, hold on. Look at my man over here in the right-hand corner. That's a man in a wheelchair that's trying to get away. You see the wheelchair guy? Listen, right-hand side of the screen, there's a guy in a wheelchair that is reeling himself fast as hell in order to get away from the violence. A wheelchair.
In the Humboldt Park neighborhood, spilling over into the parking lot of a gas station at Iowa.
We got to do better, bro. Chris James, I'm going to be reading that Cash App shortly. We got to do better, bro. Honest to God. Listen, bro. Look, Anton, hush, man, you lowering my property value. Stop hating on us. Let us be great in Chicago. Be great. What? It's a man in a wheelchair that is wheeling away from a quote-unquote large gathering in Chicago. It was over 70 people shot. More than 70 people over the weekend because it was the warmest weekend of the year so far. It's a man in a wheelchair that is trying to get the heck up out of Dodge.
And Pulaski around 12:45 Monday morning. Surveillance video capturing the moment someone opened fire.
I closed the door because I'm working cashier and there's someone did shoot, you know.
Police say 5 victims between the ages of 15 and 35 were shot as local leaders announced plans Monday to expand community violence intervention programs in 4 neighborhoods. One of those includes Humboldt Park.
It's extremely hurtful, but I think it reinforces the need to have more resources infused into our neighborhoods, to be honest with you.
Those involved in the effort say the expanded resources are needed to get in front of the violence before it happens, not to respond only after.
Even though those numbers are high, if we weren't out there doing the work, those numbers would be significantly higher.
The Humboldt Park shooting was one of more than a dozen between midnight and 8:30 Monday morning across the city. At least 25 people were shot, including 2 people who lost their lives. The first deadly shooting happening in the 7600 block of North Paulina when a 45-year-old man was shot multiple times and died from his injuries. In another incident on the 6000 block of South Winchester in the city's West Englewood neighborhood, police say 7 victims, men and women between the ages of 20 and 34, were shot just before 2 Monday morning.
I didn't realize that anybody got shot. I was woke when the shooting occurred.
Police say it appears the suspects were shooting at each other close by the victims. Mary Retta Beeman Robinson says her husband looked outside to see what was going on.
I think it just look from somewhere else. Don't open the door and just stick your head out there, because then you'll never know where the bullets are and where they're coming from.
Beeman Robinson estimates several hundred people were outside gathering as multiple parties were being held.
Another large gathering
on the block. She says police came by earlier in the night but did not break up the parties. She hopes something more can be done because she says this isn't the first time these large gatherings have happened on the block.
This dude literally has convinced y'all to use the word large gatherings in Chicago. Good God.
Everybody's not bad. You know, everybody out there wasn't bad. It's just that the situation got out of control when people should have been at home.
One of the victims in the West Englewood shooting was critically injured, a 20-year-old man. As for arrests in any of these cases, police have not announced any in relation to the shootings that happened in the morning hours. Anyone?
Let me guess, nobody got caught. Meanwhile, and thank you, Curtis Taylor. I'm definitely going to be reading that super chat shortly. Meanwhile, while there were over 70 people shot, 8 of them died so far. Some of them are still in the hospital. Chicago is taking a page out of a suburban Chicago town's playbook, and that they are now studying and taking steps towards a reparations program. Check it out.
The city of Chicago taking a major step towards enacting a reparations program. Mayor Johnson announcing a new task force to examine how the city can remedy what he calls policies that have harmed black Chicagoans from slavery era to present day.
CBS 2 political reporter Chris Ty is live in our newsroom with what we know so far about this. Chris.
Joe and Marie, how will the money be dispersed? Who qualifies and how will it be funded moving forward? Just some of the questions a newly formed task force will tackle as the mayor rolls out his plan 2 days before the U.S. commemorates the end of slavery this Wednesday, Juneteenth.
It's imperative that it is now the time to deliver good on reparations for people of Chicago, and particularly black people of the city of Chicago.
On the week of Juneteenth, Chicago taking its biggest step yet to offer reparations to descendants of enslaved Africans. Mayor Johnson signing an executive order that launches a black reparations task force to design what comes next.
We're going to invest $500,000 into the study of restoration and reparations for the city of Chicago.
So I've already known about this because I've studied Chicago's budget. This is not anything new. This is something that he announced, and that was a part of, or an earmark, that was a part of Chicago's budget. I think he talked about it maybe a little less than 6 months ago, top of the year, something like that. Anyways, he had already said that he was going to earmark $500,000 for a couple of people or whatever, some task force, to go out and study. So this isn't actually reparations. This is them basically approving a line item that they passed in the Chicago budget that all of the aldermen agreed with, that ultimately is going to spend $500,000 trying to figure out how it is that they can reparate black people over in Chicago. All right, let's continue.
So that we can begin to move in the direction of complete liberation.
Mayor Lightfoot did not see the gravity in this that I guess I saw.
Former Chicago Alderman Roderick Sawyer is part of Chicago's Reparations Advisory Commission.
It's not just give me a...
Even if you're not an alderman, even if you get voted out, even if somebody runs and wins your seat, you still can come back and be a part of the advisory commission and make a commission by studying whether or not black people deserve reparations inside of Chicago. I think that this is all one big coup, honestly. My opinion of this is as such. I think that it's a coup, meaning that it's a way for them to continue to make money off of the backs of people that's easily finessed. It's a way for them to be able to tap into your emotional side. And then last but not least, this is a way for politicians, in my opinion, roll with me here. This is a way for politicians, in my opinion, to tap into what you think emotionally instead of what's best for you in the community, because they know that if they continue to dangle this carrot in front of your face and they can leverage taxpayer dollars in order to do so, what it will do is it will endear you to these politicians that are currently in office to continue to vote for them when election time comes. It's always a long-term play. It's always a long-term play. This is an opportunity for them to make sure that they continue to clean up their image. You will forget what happened during the migrant crisis. You will forget what happened during the pandemic. You will forget that they sold your streets. You will forget about the crime that's happening in your community. You will forget about the defunding of the police. You will forget about your kids and your nephews and all of them getting shot inside of a neighborhood. You will forget about them continuing to fund the migrant crisis inside of your own city to the tune of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. You won't even research through the Freedom of Information Act to find out exactly where all of the hundreds of millions of dollars that they spent on migrant crisis, where did it go? Who was the people that got it? What was the contractor? Who owns the companies? You won't see any of that come election time. You know why? You know why? Because they formed a task force to figure out how they can reparate and make whole black people in the city of Chicago.
Check. It's correct us, make us right so that we don't have the problems that we continue to have, that we've been having, not just through being enslaved, but through the Jim Crow laws, through all the redlining.
In 2021, descendants of enslaved Africans in Evanston began receiving reparations which continue today, all from $10 million set aside from taxing cannabis sales. Those selected receiving $25,000, which they can apply towards a mortgage or home repairs.
Unlike Evanston, where it's real estate specific, you're saying the Chicago model may be much broader.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And again, like I said, the Evanston model was perfect, and it was perfect for Evanston.
And that's how they do it. They kick open the door by throwing a seed over there, and then they leapfrog off of it in order to get y'all invested.
We need to find that model that fits the city of Chicago.
Again, that Evanston model continues. This year in Evanston, the city expects 80 direct descendants of slaves to take part in their $25,000 reparations program. The move by Chicago's mayor comes as New York's governor and legislators in California have also taken up the matter of late. Next up for the city, the mayor's task force will hold public hearings and conduct a study to develop plans for how to roll this out in coming years.
So that is what's happening in Chicago. Shout out to everybody that lost their life over the weekend. Shout out to the wheelchair guy that was able to get out of there safely without getting hit. Shout out to Mayor Brandon Johnson for holding y'all down over there in the city of Chi-Town. Chi-Town. Anyways, let me read a couple of super chats and then the Cash App, and then we're going to continue over with the show because we got a lot to get to today. Curtis Taylor said it was a mass shooting at a splash pad in Rochester Hills, Michigan. This is really sad. Y'all can have summer. I'm going to be working. See y'all in the fall. Shout out to you, Curtis Taylor. I appreciate you. Alvin S. says, blessings, AD. Happy 20th anniversary to you, Mrs. Daniels. We love you and miss you in NYC. Yeah, I think that was it. No, we did DC, and then we did NYC before that. Shout out to my NYC peeps over there. And then I also want to give a shout out to my guy, my rich friend. Shout out to my rich friend. I got a rich friend. His name is Chris James. Chris James holding me down with the 100 ball says, for happy anniversary, I hope to find a love like y'all. Shout out to my dog, Chris James on Cash App. Thank you, my friend. I really do appreciate it, man. It's so nice to have rich friends and people that I can tap into and, you know, that hold me down and all of that stuff. I've learned to appreciate my rich friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily there yet, but I'm working on it, you know. Thank you to Chris James. Thank you to everybody that support the platform. I'll continue to read Cash Apps and Super Chats throughout the show. All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and continue. So, in the midst of everything that was going on, over in New York, there was also a triple shooting, but there is also a proposal to have a mask ban. And I find that ironic because remember just a few years ago, it doesn't even seem like that long ago. Remember just a few years ago that there was a mask requirement. Now, that mask requirement didn't necessarily apply to people that were protesting, especially when it came to the 6 feet no check, you know, 6 feet in distances. You couldn't even get into an elevator unless it was only 2 to an elevator and you had to stand on one corner and the other person had to stand on one corner. But it was a triple shooting over in New York. And while there is a triple shooting, there is also a mask ban that is coming along that's basically trying to prevent people from hiding their faces while doing crime. Now, I always thought that the mask requirement was a weird way to go about doing things because, A, it didn't necessarily protect you from the vid. We all know that now, obviously. But B, it then allowed for criminals to walk around with Pooh Shiesty masks and nobody could stop them. It allowed for criminals to walk around with Pooh Shiesty masks on. Now, I know a lot of my people that's out here in these streets, they don't necessarily know what a Pooh Shiesty mask is, but it's basically a robbery mask. It's the one that go over your whole head and your face, and it's only your eyes. That's the Pooh Shiesty mask, all right? But let's go ahead and check into New York and see what's happening over there. And then we're going to talk about this whole mask ban that's coming over, that's being handed down from the governor, Kathy Hochul, and then being embraced by Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, after we talk about the triple shooting.
Well, 2 people killed and a 3rd injured after shooting near a subway station in Upper Manhattan. This happened just before midnight, and so far there have been no arrests.
All right, Fox 5's Lisa Evers joins us live from the scene with the latest today. Lisa.
Well, Steve, all day long, detectives have been combing this neighborhood, going door to door on the stores and businesses here, looking for information about this triple shooting that left 2 men dead, a 3rd man wounded and recovering in his nearby apartment.
Look at all those migrants in the background. Hold on. Check it out. They said, oh, the news is shooting over there. Hey, look at the migrants in the background, y'all. Oh, no. We don't want no problem.
A 3rd man wounded and recovering in his nearby apartment.
Nope, we're not going that way. Keep going.
Is
and my man grabbed her and said, keep going.
The idea that their safety worries are justified. The crime scene tape went up at 10th Avenue and West 206th Street Sunday night, just before midnight. In these surveillance videos we obtained from sources, you see the gunman come out from behind a parked vehicle, assume a shooting stance, and the flash of the first bullet fired. From another angle, you see him aim at 2 men on the street. He fires multiple shots.
Scary that it happened like that. People just getting killed and dying on the street.
The NYPD says a 44-year-old man was shot once in the face and later died at Harlem Hospital. A 2nd man, 40 years old, was shot once in the chest and killed. A 3rd man, who was 37 years old, was shot in the leg. People here are now even more worried about what's going on.
Very concerned about safety. People don't want to go outside anymore. It's really bad for business.
How did we get to this place? How did we get here? I thought we cleaned up the streets of New York. What was the mayor that cleaned up the streets of New York? Giuliani? Which mayor was the one? It wasn't Bloomberg. Which mayor cleaned up the streets of New York? How did we get here? I thought that New York was fixed. We got it together. We got all of the graffiti removed from all of the trains and stuff like that. It became more of a tourist destination. And now look where we at.
I believe that it's getting out of hand. The amount of violence that is surging in this neighborhood is like going back to the 80s when I was a little girl growing up in this neighborhood.
The deadly shootings happened right near the 207th Street #1 train station and close to busy bus routes. It's an area many who live and work here use daily, but now they're having second thoughts.
Very concerned, especially when you have family members. Everybody walks around the street. It could be, maybe they were a target, I don't know. But it could be a shooting. Anybody could be hit.
God forbid, you're walking around with your family, all of a sudden that happens. People also confuse you sometimes, kill you, it's bad.
Now, one of the main questions that detectives are trying to answer right now is whether these victims were the intended targets. They still don't have a decisive answer on that yet. We're also not getting the ID of the victims yet until all of their family members are notified. As for that suspect, police are telling us that he was dressed head to toe in black, as you saw in the surveillance video that we showed you, with a black face covering, and that he got away on foot right here on East 206th Street. So, of course, they're looking for him and asking anyone with information to call 1-800-577-TIPS. You don't have to give your name. We're live in Inwood. I'm Lisa Evers, Fox 5 News. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, I heard that Bishop Lamont Whitehead wound up getting a whole bunch of time. I heard he got like 8 or 9 years and he was sentenced. We might get to that at a different day or on a different time. But anyways, this is what's going on with the mask ban over in NYC.
An onslaught of anti-Semitic violence and targeted activity happening all across the city recently. Governor Kathy Hochul is now considering reinstating a pre-pandemic law.
Yeah, that would actually ban people from wearing face masks while riding the subway. Let's get right to Good Day's Briella Tomasetti. She's tracking the story from the Upper East Side to explain the reasoning for it. Briella, good morning.
Yeah, Tashani and Dan, good morning to both of you. As part of the governor's initiative to crack down on hate crime, state police will increase their presence at high-risk community sites. The mask ban, in the meantime, will largely focus, but not entirely focus, on the subway system, which is, by the way, home to millions of daily riders.
Why do people feel the need to be able to still wear masks in public in a general sense? I understand if like you're a celebrity and you try not to get noticed, you're going through the airport or something. But when I see masks in public, like let's just say in New York or a major city or people walking downtown, I just automatically start getting suspicious. Unless it's like an old person or an elderly person or something like that. Prior to the pandemic, the only time that I had seen people wearing masks were in California and then in Asian countries like China, because the manufacturing was so heavy that the air was so difficult to breathe, and it was basically toxic for you to breathe the air. And so a lot of people was wearing masks as a result of it. And then over in California, and a lot of California, and you had a lot of Asian people that were moving over to California in a general sense also, that the smog in the air was so bad at some points that a lot of people were wearing masks. And so this was something that largely came out of that whole sentiment. Hey, y'all, let me get a shout out and a round of applause for my girl Molly that pulled up on the panel last night. And Molly didn't catfish us. She actually looks like her picture. Shout out to Molly for that. Let's continue.
We will not tolerate individuals using masks to evade responsible for criminal or threatening behavior.
In a reversal from the COVID era, Governor Kathy Hochul is considering a partial mask ban
Thank you, Phil. I'm
on
gonna be
New
reading
York
that
City
super chat shortly.
subways due to an alarming uptick in anti-Semitic crimes.
Raise your hands if you're a Zionist.
On Monday night, a group of pro-Palestinian demonstrators donning masks infiltrated a subway car, taunting Jewish riders and urging them to get off the train. On Tuesday, police say vandals targeted the luxury apartment building where Brooklyn Museum director Ann Pasternak lives, smearing hate speech on the front entrance with red paint. Police released this surveillance video of the suspects. Surveillance video also captured another anti-Semitic incident happening on the Upper East Side. Watch as a U-Haul truck pulls up near the Palestinian Mission to the United Nations building on East 65th Street, unloads at least a dozen passengers who then litter the area with red paint and...
All of these people should be arrested, charged to the fullest extent of the law, and thrown in jail. Every last one of these people should be arrested, charged to the fullest extent of the law, and thrown in jail. Real talk, straight up. All day long. And these are all paid actors. These are people that are literally spending their dollars and their monies, and they paid to come in and cause chaos and confusion, and they need to be jailed and charged to the fullest extent of the law. If this was happening with any other group of people, we would not be this passive about it.
Flyers which read in part, "Long live the Intifada."
So the State Police Hate Crimes Task Force is working with local police to investigate these crimes, and I have directed our state police to increase patrols in sensitive locations all over New York.
Cowards hide their face.
Mayor Adams echoed the governor's concerns during an interview on Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC Radio. And while the two leaders don't always see eye to eye, Adams said he'd support a partial mask ban.
And I think now is the time to go back to the way it was pre-COVID, where you should not be able to wear masks at protests and our subway systems and other places.
I agree. It's one of the first things that I actually agree with. Not one of the first things, but a big first thing that I actually agree with Eric Adams is that if you are at a protest, you should not be able to wear masks. You should not be able to hide, be a paid actor, go in, disrupt, and you should not be able to wear a mask at a protest. If you're going to go to an event that allows for you to then be able to cause chaos, disruption, and be a part of the circus, you got to be able to show your face. You can't hide. You got to show your face, and I agree 100%.
Well, Mayor Adams giving a stamp of approval today for a proposal that would ban masks in certain settings.
All right, somebody said that's not right. For the government to take away a person's right to wear a mask to protect their health. No. Listen, think about it. All right, so let's evaluate this, Eunice. That is not right for the government to take a person's right away to wear a mask to protect their health and others. Okay, so if you're trying to protect your health, why would you be at a protest? Why would you go to a large gathering where everybody is surrounding each other and it's basically shoulder to shoulder and it's confrontation and touching and all of that stuff? Because we're not talking about people that are just trying to get to and from work or, whatever, so on and so forth. we're talking about people that are at protests. Specifically, what Eric Adams said, and I agree with it, is if you are going to go to a protest, you should not be able to wear a mask in New York, especially with all of the concerns with terrorism. And we got all of these migrants in there, these paid actors, and they continue to disrupt and cause taxpayers' dollars. No way. I disagree with it 100%.
Fox 5's Morgan McKay joins us now in studio with a closer look at where they would and would not be allowed and the reaction it's getting from the healthcare community in particular. Morgan.
Hey, Stephen, Bianca. Mayor Eric Adams making it clear he not only supports a mask ban on the subway and at protests, but he is actively making calls to state lawmakers to implement such a ban.
Cowards cover their faces.
Mayor Eric Adams throwing his full support behind a proposed mask ban on the subway and at protests. This following recent anti-Semitic incidents, including one where a man on the subway told any, quote, Zionists to get off the train. Adams says that a mask ban will make it easier for the NYPD to identify offenders.
People are using masks to commit crimes, to commit assault. The difficult thing for the police department is defining suspects because of their full covering.
Governor Kathy Hochul mentioned the possibility of reinstating a mask ban at a press conference last week. New York previously banned masks for groups of 3 people or more under a law dating back to the 19th century, when upstate tenant farmers dressed as Native Americans and violently attacked landlords. The law was lifted when the COVID-19 pandemic struck in 2020, when riders were then required to wear a mask on the train.
I asked storekeepers to have people pull down their masks before even temporarily.
After Adams' comments on Monday, some health advocates poured onto social media expressing outrage. Dr. Lucky Tran said, quote, "This is absolutely reckless and will endanger the lives of all New Yorkers. This must be stopped." While Hochul said certain exemptions would be made for people who need to wear a mask for legitimate reasons, she didn't go into detail on how that would be enforced. Any sort of mask ban would need approval from state lawmakers, who are not set to return to Albany until next year. However, they could return this summer for a special session to discuss a new funding stream for the MTA after Hochul yanked the rug out from congestion pricing. Danny Pearlstein with the Riders Alliance says that Hochul should focus on funding transit.
The governor needs to focus on funding the transit system.
No, the governor and the mayor's job is to focus on safety and funding the transit system. It's not just about one thing. You can do 2 things at once. That's why they have the job. Their job is to focus both on public safety and to make sure that everything is properly funded and to reduce the possibility of something happening and not just respond to it after it happens.
And turning on congestion pricing and not wading into these controversies like masks, like the National Guard, like we've seen with metal detectors.
And a spokeswoman for New York Attorney General Letitia James also telling me today that the AG is in discussions with Hochul and lawmakers over the push to bring back New York's mask ban, saying, quote, "In New York, no one should be able to hide behind a mask to spew hate."
And I agree with that 100%. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what's going on over in New York. They are trying to make sure that if you are going to be one of the perpetrators that's out here in these streets, doing these protests, making it difficult for everyday people to get to and from where they got to go, and then be out here committing crimes and technically what they're labeling as hate crimes, you're going to have to pay the cost and you should be able to show your face. Stand up and actually be one of them ones. You know what I'm saying? Let me read a couple of the super chats and then we're going to continue over with the show. Emmanuel Smith says, blessings, night run, but I'm here for it. Shout out to Emmanuel Smith. I appreciate you. Thank you for holding us down. Forsaken Archive says, I bet they'll say wear a mask for religious reasons, or they wear masks for religious reasons. No, we don't want to hear none of that. What mask for religious reasons? Get out of here with that nonsense. Philip Jackson, thank you, Philip Jackson. Philip Jackson hooked me up on Cash App, says for anniversary to you and your queen to be. Shout out to my dog, Philip Jackson. I appreciate you. Thank you, my friend, for always holding us down. Philip Jackson and Chris James, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody that's here. Hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, make sure y'all tap into that Tiege Hanley sponsor of the show. 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Ladies, get it for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. And then make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. I just dropped a video less than 2 days ago inside of the Patreon for the people. Very, very informative. A lot of people responded to it on the Patreon and said that they was absolutely 100% incentivized to now do something different. We got Stock Club coming up, I believe, early next week. And, I got another post that I'm posting while I'm on vacation. It's already scheduled to go out, and there's more details about the meetup, all right? So make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's continue on with the show. Secret Service agents. So let's talk about authorities really quickly, all right? And we only going to spend 10 minutes on this because I want to deep dive into car payments. I want to get into being black in corporate America. Somebody sent me an email of a video that was recently released of a man that's talking about his experience in corporate America and being black. I don't know if it's positive or negative, so we're going to get into that. And we also want to get into the Biden freeze thing because it's becoming a big debate. But before we do that, there are Secret Service agents that's being robbed in Cali, and there's law enforcement that's being robbed and assaulted across the country by migrants. And so I want to bring a little bit of highlight to this before we continue on with the show. Check it out.
A U.S. Secret Service agent who was here for President Biden's visit to L.A. was robbed at gunpoint. Officials say the agent had just finished work when the armed robbery happened. Let's go live to Fox 11's Ed Laskos in Tustin tonight with the latest. Ed?
And Marla, all of this going down in this quiet upscale community. And if that's not enough, the neighbors now finding out that the one firing the gun shooting is a federal agent, a Secret Service agent. Watch. Gunfire in the affluent Tuscan Fields community off Edinger Ave. We now know it is an armed robbery and the target, a federal agent.
The community here is really shocked. They're just really surprised because it's a very quiet neighborhood and nothing really happens here. You know, we get the occasional porch pirate.
Only this is no porch pirate, and the victim is no helpless neighbor. It is a U.S. Secret Service agent, robbed at gunpoint.
We found out that it was like a Secret Service agent. It was like a shooting or something of that nature.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, it was really strange, really crazy.
It's got to be a very, very, very bad sign of the times when a Secret Service agent for the President of the United States of America is getting robbed. Thank you, Dylan KO. Thank you to everybody that support the platform. I'm going to read those shortly. Tam, you know what I'm saying? It's a heck of a day. It's a heck of a space to be in when we exist in a society where the president went for a fundraiser or he pops up at a space, a Secret Service agent is done doing his job as far as protecting the president, and he's getting robbed at gunpoint in a safe, in what supposedly being a safe neighborhood. You got the lady that's the head of the HOA is saying, oh man, I don't know what's going on over here. It's pretty bad considering that Secret Service agents are being robbed in California. I think that's wild.
And it gets even crazier. There is gunfire. The agent is the one who opens fire on the robber.
I'm certainly glad it was him instead of me. At least he had the ability to take some defensive action.
These orange cones now turn to evidence markers placed on the ground by the spent shell casings. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 6 of them in all.
Definitely heard a lot of.
Counted them in real time.
I thought it was fireworks because it's almost 4th of July. And it was maybe about 5 or 6, I thought, shots that I heard.
Not sure if the robber is hit. He grabs the agent's bag and then drives off in his getaway car. Here it is from nearby security cameras. It is a 2004-06 silver Infiniti FX35.
Stolen.
The Secret Service now out confirming it is one of their agents, but not the ones assigned to the protection detail for President.
Well, of course they're not going to say it was one that was assigned to the protection detail of the President of the United States of America. If it was, which we don't know either way if it was or not, why would they say that? Why would they ever say, oh yeah, it was one of them that... They can't do that. It's going to make the president look bad. It's going to make our country look even worse.
President Biden's L.A. visit last Saturday. Instead, the agent involved in the shooting, off duty at the time, returning from an assignment. Still, gunfire here and from a Fed, more than leaving its marks.
Kind of puts us on edge a little bit.
And they got away.
But obviously, we have caring neighbors.
And somebody is going to have that as a part of they hood credentials. Man, you know what, bro? I robbed a Secret Service agent. Can't none of y'all say that. Can't none of y'all say, ain't none of y'all got them type of stripes. Bro, I ran up on a Secret Service agent, took his stuff, and then got and dipped out on him right after he came back from protecting the president, big dog.
Here, and so we feel safe. I think it's just a one-off incident.
I wouldn't feel safe.
Now, that's what they're hoping. Another neighbor saying it's really a sign that something like this could happen anywhere. Doesn't make a difference, she said. So as the investigation goes on tonight, they are still trying to find that robber to see if he was hit by gunfire, to see if the agent was a good shot. They're also trying to find that getaway car. And the neighbors around here, as they say, just trying to catch their breath, hoping this won't happen again.
But it's not the only thing that was happening against law enforcement over this past week. Also, migrants armed migrants carjacked an NYPD officer at gunpoint in Harlem. Check it out.
Now, two armed men believed to be Venezuelan migrants carjacked an off-duty NYPD officer in Harlem. Congressman Mike Lawler, Republican from New York State, joins me now. Congressman, what's the solution here? How do we stop this surge in migrant crime?
Well, we need to secure the border, Stuart.
But we're not going to.
More border personnel. We need more court personnel to hear these asylum cases expeditiously. We need to stop the Biden administration's catch and release program. Since Joe Biden took office, over 10 million migrants have crossed our southern border, most of them illegally, 90% being released into the country. And when these asylum cases are finally heard, Stuart, 70% of them are rejected.
Exactly.
This is an absolute disaster created by Joe Biden. And you not only have innocent people getting murdered, obviously you have...
I've always been amazed when you walk down New York City, because they'll crack down on like vendors that are selling on the side of the bridge and stuff like that. I've done shows where I basically broke down how they've started to eliminate everything that was happening on the Brooklyn Bridge and stuff like that, right? But when you walk in New York, and I don't care where you are, you can be in Brooklyn, you can be in Times Square, you can be all over the city itself. I mean, Queens, Harlem, you take your pick. There are people selling stolen fenced goods or fake products on the street with no reservation whatsoever. And now what they've done is they've incentivized migrants to do the same thing. So the migrants go in and they steal stuff out of the stores, or they start to fence stuff, or whatever it is that they want to do, right? And they take what they want, and then they go out on the street and they sell them. And ain't nobody even tripping about it. They ain't worried about getting caught. When you used to, back in my day, right, it used to be a thing to get what they call the booster, right? And the booster was person that basically, was selling you the clothes. It was like Tyrese. Tyrese was the booster. You know what I'm saying? From Baby Boy. When he would go out and he would be selling women's clothes and all of this other type of stuff. It was a thing, and we called them boosters. Back in the, oh, you got a booster, fam? Oh, okay, cool. I see what you got. I see you, big dog. Now, everybody is the booster, because you walking in Macy's, you going to Nordstrom's, they hitting up the stores, they go in and taking whatever it is that they want. And then they just go out on the street and they just sell it on the street, and we just walk past it like it's cool. And I be seeing people actually walking up to the street, people like, what, you thought that Louis Vuitton bag was real? You thought that was real? That's Vampire Life. That's Jim Jones brand. That is not Louis Vuitton. That is Vampire Life. Y'all ever heard of Vampire Life, Jim Jones? Don't worry about it.
Cops getting carjacked. You have cops getting assaulted. You had cops just a few weeks ago getting shot by illegal immigrants. So this is absolutely out of control. And this is a result of Democrats' open
I just want to add to this, because we just got some new data on the numbers here. Internal federal data shows ICE's non-detained docket has exploded to a staggering 7.4 million cases.
Crazy.
Now, those are migrants who have been released into the United States pending a court appearance. That's 7.4 million people. Just this is extraordinary. But what are we going to do? You can't deport all of those people. What are we going to do?
Look, at the end of the Trump administration, we were down to below 400,000 border crossings a year. Since Joe Biden took office, it's over 3 million a year. It's crazy. You can't sustain this as a country. And so we obviously need to deal with the immigration crisis long term. I've said this many times. My wife is an immigrant. I've been through this system. It is a fundamentally broken system. But we obviously need to reform it, because doing nothing is not actually solving the problem. It's making it worse. But you have to start with the border. You have to show the American people that we're serious about
Look at all
stopping
that
this
stuff on the
mass
street.
influx. And so it's not
Skechers,
just migrants, it's
Nikes,
drugs,
Jordans from Temu.
fentanyl pouring into our communities, killing tens of thousands of Americans a year. This is an existential crisis that the Biden administration, despite his ridiculous executive order from 2 weeks ago, is doing nothing to address.
One more for you, Congressman. A synagogue in New York City was defaced with anti-Israel graffiti. It follows a week-long escalation of anti-Semitic incidents in this city. Where is Senator Schumer? He's the highest-ranking Jewish elected official in government. He's issued a statement, but we've got no action on his part or anybody else, frankly.
Well, he's too busy trying to figure out how to use a grill, putting cheese on a raw burger. Just comical. But look, Chuck Schumer, the highest-ranking Jewish official in American history, is sitting on a bill right now, the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which I passed through the House, 320 to 91, which would help to define anti-Semitism and allow colleges and universities to start cracking down on it and force the Department of Education to crack down on it. That is an immediate step that Chuck Schumer can and should take to help us combat anti-Semitism as it explodes across America. And he is doing nothing but sitting on it and standing in the way. It is shameful. It is disgraceful. And folks should call Senator Schumer's office and demand an up or down vote. It will pass overwhelmingly.
We don't need any more voting, honestly. I don't care about bipartisan agreement. I don't care about any of that stuff. The only thing I care about is fixing this country and closing off our borders and then doing things legally. I know that there's an agenda. I know that there's a ton of money that's being made from trafficking people inside of the United States of America while y'all throw human trafficking charges on people that's out here pimping. And I don't agree with pimping either and putting these chicks out on the street. But they'll trump up and throw human trafficking charges on that person, give them 440 million years inside of prison. Meanwhile, it's a whole lot of people profiting off of people getting inside of this country. I don't know who getting the kickback. I don't know how profitable it is for certain people. And then we also know that because it's a lot of people that's not having children, and because y'all have now realized that you don't want to be a part of the slave culture, it's a lot of people that's not basically breeding children and become the workers of America. Now they're flooding in the borders, and there's so many different reasons why they're trying to incentivize people to come over here, and they're not closing it off. And they know that you don't care about it because they're not going to do it the right way because you just going to let it fly because you're not even tripping about it because you're more concerned about abortion rights or whether or not, I don't know, man. This is so dumb. This is the dumbest thing ever. I'll just be so aggravated about all of the nonsense that's happening and people get away with it. We just a lawless land. Secret Service agents is getting robbed. Migrants is over here carjacking NYPD officers over in Harlem. It's just bad all across the board, bro. Honestly, it's seriously bad across the board. Let me read some of these super chats. America been for sale, August night. America been for sale. Grayway says, it's not going to work. They can't even get people to pay the subway fare. And you know what's so funny? Because if you go over to Tokyo, they don't have no problem. And I just be thinking to myself, why are people over in Tokyo, why are Japanese people so respectful? They don't even have trash cans, and people take their trash with them. If you buy something, you know you're conscious about what you're buying because it's very difficult to find somewhere to be able to throw your stuff away. You're conscious about what you buy and take out on the street because it's difficult to find somewhere to be able to throw your stuff away in the street. And the streets are immaculate. Did you see Biden sign a 10-year protection deal? I didn't. I got to go. I'm going to talk about Biden in a second. Dylan KO says support. Thank you, Dylan KO. I appreciate you also. Steven Slayer 1 says can't wait for Trump to use ICE to deport all of these illegals. First, he got to get elected. We not just going to skip. We're not going to jump the fence. We got to get elected first. Jordan's from Temu is wild. Y'all ain't never seen them Jordans? It's not Jordans. It's Jordans. It's Jordans. It's not like this. It's like this. It's a layup. He's doing a layup. He's not actually doing a finger roll. Y'all ain't never seen them Jordans? And the head is slightly bigger on one side from Temu? Now, hold on, man. Let me pull it up. I might be able to pull this up for y'all. I'm surprised y'all ain't never seen them Jordans from Temu. Y'all ain't never seen these before? The Jordan 11.5s? Hold on, let me see if I can get them for you. Y'all ain't never seen these? The new plush? The plush Jordans from Temu? Y'all, tell me y'all seen this before. Y'all think I'm lying. I'm straight up for real. There are some new Jordans. See? Then y'all gonna be acting like I didn't tell y'all or I didn't show y'all. Yes, it is some Jordans from Temu. Hold on, let me share my screen with you guys. Y'all ain't never seen these before? The new cloud 11s. Yeah, it's a mixture. It's Jordans, and then they got the the Travis Scott print on it, and then they got the other one where they got a cursive 23 on them too. Y'all ain't never seen these? Man, listen, don't send y'all kid to school with these. Do not send your kid to school with these, with the 23 to the side. Y'all ain't never seen them Temu Jordans? Boy, it's something else. You can get like 70 pair for like $89. You just got to pay $35 in shipping for the whole box. You got to hope that it get through customs. It's a real thing. It's seriously a real thing in real life. Anyways, I don't want to distract y'all. Let me read a couple more super chats, and then we gonna continue over with the show. I'm surprised y'all ain't never seen these before. Forsaken Archive says it's not much, but happy. Listen, I appreciate everything. I absolutely appreciate you for supporting the platform and wishing me a happy anniversary. Thank you, my friend. The 10-year deal is for protecting funding for Ukraine. No, I'm gonna have to deep dive into that. Send me that. I'll add that as a part of the show that I premiere tomorrow. Air Georges. Listen, if you ain't never grew up and your parents bought you some Avias or some XJ9000s, you don't really know what it feels like to be teased in school. Abraham on Cash App says, how can I get a coaching call from you, sir? If you want a coaching call, email me at Anton Daniels 413@gmail.com. Anton Daniels 413@gmail.com. I take all business inquiries there. I do not do business on social media. I don't do business on DMs. I don't do business on any of that. And make sure you actually follow my real social media. All of the links is in the description to my Instagram, TikTok, all of that stuff. And so if you see a fake account, I do not have a second account or anything like that. Thank you for the love on Cash App. I appreciate you. All right, let's continue on with the show. What we got going on here? Biden. All right, Biden. Is Biden too old, and is he losing his faculties? I don't want to spend any more than 10 minutes because I know that this was a thing over the weekend, and I kind of highlighted it yesterday. But this was basically what was going on and what people are basically paying attention to in order to evaluate whether or not he's going to be a viable option for president of the United States on a second term. We was already worried about a first term. Definitely worried about a second term.
But first, I've spoken many times about the very public and obvious cognitive decline of the US president. Like many others, I've lamented the precarious state of the leader of the free world. And let's be honest, the man we rely on here in Australia to keep us safe, because God knows we can't do that ourselves. I've laughed when he's gaffed, and I've scoffed when he's humiliated himself on the global stage. But this week, ladies and gentlemen, we've entered a new era, and there is not one thing funny about it. Not a single tiny little thing. For the first time, I didn't watch a man slur his words a little bit or forget his surroundings momentarily. I watched a man completely void.
Y'all think that Biden is wearing a diaper? Why y'all saying he boo-booing on himself? I ain't heard that in a long time. You got a boo-boo. Why do y'all think that Biden is using a restroom on himself? Y'all think that Biden is wearing a diaper? I don't think that Biden is wearing no diapers. Could the president be wearing diapers? Is that a thing? Nah, I don't think that that's true. No way that the president could be wearing diapers. Thank you, Well Traveled. Thank you for the Cash App. I'm going to be reading that shortly.
Of all awareness, a man not present at all in mind, a man who desperately needs help and care.
Instead of trying to stop our ban on ghost gun kits that contain these that can commit crimes.
If I talk like that on the Millionaire Morning Show, y'all would be like, Anton, get checked out. Go to the doctors. Listen to this guy.
We're working like hell to stop it.
Listen, I know that we looking at Biden and he looks like he's in space right now. I can't stop looking at the left side of my screen and looking at that tall man with that sequin dress on.
Now, this is no longer the fault of Joe Biden in any way, shape or form, i.e. an unwillingness
I know he
to
wearing
walk away or to
orthopedics,
give up power. No, he is well beyond that now. And that was flattering, by the way, that vision we showed you. The blame for this tragedy lies squarely on the people around him.
Look at Billy Porter. Look at Billy Porter over there on the left-hand side. Jesus Christ. Ain't nobody talking about Billy Porter. The only thing that they're going to talk about is whether or not the president is in space.
Meant to love him, meant to love their country. What they are allowing, enabling and encouraging is a disgrace, and one from which he and his political reputation, legacy...
What is wrong with our president? Are you seeing what he's doing right now? Look.
...is a disgrace, and one from which he and his political reputation...
Is that his grandson? Who is this child? Who is this young boy that's standing there while Paw try to bend down in order to give him a kiss? What the heck is going on, bro? I thought Billy Porter was losing his house. Can anybody confirm or deny that Billy Porter is losing his house? What is he doing on the White House lawn dancing? Honestly, I thought that Billy Porter was losing his house. Yeah, this was just in the fall. Actor Billy Porter is putting his home on the market due to financial struggles. He was just broke. He's still check to check. He was still check to check. These people is broke, but they sitting there on a White House lawn. They got bigger. Well, I don't know. Anyways, don't get me started.
Legacy, whatever you may think of it, will never recover. He should have been helped to walk away months, if not years ago. There is no shame in being unwell.
Is that when he pooped on himself,
Zero.
supposedly, right
It's
there?
not that he's old. I know people far older who are sharp as tacks. It's not his age. He is unwell. He can't control it. It's sad. Many of us have seen our own loved ones go through similar things. It is just cruel to continue propping him up and putting him in places he does not belong. Jill, Dr. Jill Biden, where are you? How could you? You are meant to love him. He is not a man in control. He needs people who love him to step in now. Abuse might feel like too strong a word, but it's the first that comes to mind now whenever I see the president in public. And we all lose in this situation, all of us, the president included. This is not good for him. I'll leave you with this. There is no way in hell Joe Biden is running America. No way. Which raises a question, who is? And in a democratic society, that just ain't good enough.
All right, let me get another perspective, because I know that CNN likes to protect the president, or they like to protect democracy, or Democrats per se. So I just want to get a completely different perspective, because the Democrats are saying that, or the Biden administration is basically saying that Biden did not freeze at the Obama fundraiser event, and Obama is coming to the aid and defending his former colleague.
Barack Obama's camp firing back after widespread claims on the right that he needed to lead President Biden off stage after Biden appeared to freeze up at the end of a weekend fundraiser in LA. So Eric Schultz is a senior Obama advisor, and he has put out a statement saying, quote, "This did not happen." Now, this is in response to a tweet by the New York Post, which is pushing the claim of Biden freezing up. So here is the video that the Post linked to in its article that many have seized on.
That's when he froze right there. That's it right there. Presidential debate is in like 9-10 days, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure y'all tune into that. You know Anton is going to have some heavy commentary on that. But this is where he froze right there. You got Obama over there to his left on our right-hand side. And they was at a fundraiser event when Trump was over in Detroit. And so this is allegedly when he froze. Come on, Biden. See Obama grab his hand? You see Obama grabbed his hand when he was frozen. Let's rewind that back. This is the latest freezing event. No, this is not a good thing. When they pat you on the back, like, come on, baby. That's not a good thing. Let me ask y'all another question. Would y'all rather have Barack Obama as president of the United States today or Joe Biden? I mean, both of them, that's a heck of a deal. Picking one or the other is a heck of a deal. But just wondering, would y'all rather have Barack Obama or Joe Biden?
All right, now there are still questions about what exactly happened there, but that clip comes just days after the far right used selectively edited video to claim that Biden was wandering off like some dementia patient from other world leaders during the G7. So I want to show you the video that they used to push that narrative. And it looks like, right, he's now, you see, okay, like staring off, it looks bad, right? Well, when you extend it a little bit longer and it's unedited, you see a different story. You see that Biden briefly turned away and walked over, not to the middle of nowhere, but to give a thumbs up to several parachutists, so that you actually see them there, along with a parachute rigger who is kneeling on the ground. So he wasn't just wandering off, right? He was interacting with somebody. So let's go straight to Arlette Saenz at the White House. Arlette, I want to note you were there at that fundraiser where we just showed the video of former President Obama and President Biden together on stage. So, and I know it was a packed room. It was all kinds of celebrities, raised nearly $30 million. What can you tell us about, what happened and what the White House is saying happened that night?
Well, Aaron, this moment came at the end of the fundraiser as the conversation between President Biden, President Obama, Jimmy Kimmel was ending.
One reason why I say that I would take Obama over Biden, well, number one, because he still has his faculties. And I'm not a huge Obama fan, but I think that he did do some things right if I'm looking at this objectively. The one thing that I will say about Obama is that he was tough on illegal immigration into this country, which is one of the biggest issues aside from inflation of what's happening. Of course, we know that he pushed certain agendas, and it's a lot of controversy, especially around his advocacy of alphabet community and things like that. But Obama specifically was largely considered the deporter in chief. And he got more people out of here than any president in our lifetime, and he was heavy on making sure, oh, yes, he did do some stuff right. Yes, he did. Listen, objectively, and I'm not an Obama fan like that at all, but he got the borders right. He got the borders right, and he got illegal immigration right, and he was largely criticized, and they labeled him the deporter in chief. And I think he got some stuff wrong. I think that, there was a sign of the times. The economy was absolutely faltering. But on one of the main issues of letting in an ungodly amount of people into this country, he did get the borders right. I got to give him credit. And if we're not going to be objective, we got to be objective across the board. He got the borders right. We got to give the same energy across the board. We can't just say that somebody did 100% of everything wrong. No, he did not do 100% of everything wrong. He got them borders right, and he deported more people than Trump, more illegal immigrants, and he made sure that he closed off those borders. So come on, man. We got to be objective.
Three men stood up. The music came up in the room, and they went around the stage waving, giving thumbs up. And President Biden looked out at the crowd for a few seconds before walking off the stage with former President Barack Obama. Now, there have been Republicans and right-leaning media outlets who have used this moment to say that President Biden froze and that he had to be led off the stage by President Obama. That is something that the White House and also Obama allies have been pushing very hard back against since this video was released. As you mentioned, one of President...
Let me give Obama a little bit of credit before we move over into the next subject, because now we're about to start getting over into the money, car payments, and stuff like this. Because we're largely, I think that the thing that we do a lot of times is we divide ourselves based off of our political affiliations or whatever it is that we like inside of the White House, right? Or who we want to get elected in the White House. And what makes it difficult to have conversations with people is when people are so emotionally charged one way or another, it then becomes radical because they're not able to objectively look at the pros and the cons and say, well, I didn't like this person and I don't like what it is that they did with regard to this, and they absolutely did wrong on this, but it did make sense on this end. I will tell you that for all of the smoke that Obama gets, and I hate that I'm even saying this. I hate that y'all putting me in this position in the first place. For all of the smoke that Obama gets, the worst president in my lifetime was a Republican, and I'm a conservative. The worst president in my lifetime personally was a Republican, and it was the second George Bush. I believe that the second George Bush is the worst president of all time in my lifetime. And Obama inherited a White House that came, and I mean, when I talk about disaster, I'm talking about disaster. Obama, for all of the things that I don't agree with what it is that he did, he inherited a sideshow. I mean, a 100% the worst. I was in the worst position that I ever was in my entire life under the Bush administration. I mean, the whole country was under duress. It was messed up out in these streets. And so I take personal ownership and responsibility for the decisions that I made. But I also say that the environment started to become more conducive. And that's when I started to really set the foundation for what I am today as far as how successful that I've become. So I'm not going to say that it was all bad as far as considering what the circumstances are. And I'm looking at it objectively. I've lived long enough as a 42-year-old man to be able to look back and look at everything objectively. And I don't like some of the stuff in hindsight that Obama did. Absolutely not. And I've talked about it on this platform. But if we're going to keep that same smoke, then keep the same smoke all across the board. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Somebody said Anton ain't that old. Let me tell you something, bro. In 2008, my daughter was born. I was 26 years old. The first time that I was able to vote was for the Bush administration. I was in college. I remember I was 18 years old, and that was when the first Bush really started hitting. And I remember, and I walked down into the student union, and I seen the results, and I was like, I don't really feel good about this. And then when I was 22, it was just bad. It was bad. It was all bad. That 8 years, that junk was going south. It was very, very bad. So a lot of people don't know I lived as a voter through all of those eras, through the first term of the Bush, the second term of them when they finessed that and they tried to make it seem like, I ain't even gonna get into that. Because that 9/11 thing, they still want to throw that under the rug like we ain't supposed to talk about that, even though that was a whole long time ago. And then, then we got Obama. It's a weird thing. To be able to look back at all of this stuff and objectively say this was good or this was bad, is interesting. But I hate when people are not objective because they so far to the left or they so far to the right that they can't give credit. It's the same conversation when I have conversations with liberals and I say, hey, what is it that you didn't like about the Trump presidency? And they can't name anything, but they say that they just don't like Trump, and so that's why they continue to vote for Biden. It's the same thing. We're not being able to look at things objectively and say, this is where we should go and this is where we shouldn't go. So that's just my opinion. I know we all entitled to our opinions, but that's mine, and that's where I stand on the situation. So Obama wasn't 100% bad in my opinion. Well-traveled 901 says, I wish I found you in 2016 before I foolishly financed the car and was stuck holding the bag. I'd rather walk 10 miles to work than finance the car again. Ain't that the truth? Financing a car is not as bad when money is cheap and you have money and you have the ability to be able to pay for it in cash, but you want to leverage the finances in order to continue to run up the bag over here. We'll get into it inside of the Patreon. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Eric Harris says, I hope Trump be kind enough to help Biden off stage. I can't wait for this debate. It should be very interesting. Kung Fu Hustler says, they already had a perfectly good candidate for the president in Vivek, but people are dumb. I think Vivek may be vice president. I know that he was over here in Detroit also. I want to give a shout out to my dog, Mike That Dude. Mike That Dude says, I had Pro Wing Eagles from Payless. Y'all don't know nothing about them Pro Wing Eagles. And also shout out to Ibrahim says, I just emailed you, thank you. Thank you on Cash App. Thank you to everybody that support the platform. I appreciate y'all. Let's continue over with the show. All right, car notes. Got a couple more things. Nope, that's not the one that I wanted to talk about. Car payments. Are car payments too high in America today? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get it rocking.
Car payments have reached record highs in recent years, and Americans are feeling the pinch. The average payment on a new vehicle rose 40% between April 2019 and April 2024.
Some people will look at this and they will say, are you kidding me? I mean, that's basically a house payment for a lot of people.
You know, we always had this idea that a new vehicle was something that was attainable for every American. Well, clearly we've moved away from that premise.
Blame it on high interest rates and high vehicle prices caused by pandemic-era shortages. The good news, payments have dropped a bit and are expected to fall further.
The average car payment is $760. That's not including insurance. That's not including gas. That's not including maintenance. That's just you making it. And that ain't even including and breaking down what the interest rate is on the car payment. How can an average American making $35,000, $40,000 a year, the combined household income is like $67,000 a year. How can y'all afford to spend upwards of $8,000 to $9,000 just on a car payment alone? And again, throw in insurance, throw in maintenance, throw in gas. How can y'all afford this stuff? If I was making $100,000 a year, I can't fathom the idea of paying a $760 car note. If I was making $100,000 a year, you think that I'm okay with putting upwards of more than 10% of my gross, not even my take home, upwards of 10% of my gross into a car payment? Shh.
We've reached a peak. We've turned a corner. However you want to say it, the affordability issue is going to get better.
The relief may only be short-lived. Longer term, industry insiders have serious questions about the...
Somebody said, Anton, if you were 26 in 06, I was 26 in 08. My daughter was born in 2008. I was 26 years old. I got married at 22 in 2004. I graduated from high school in 2000. I was 18 years old. In 2000 is when I graduated from high school. Y'all got to get the whole timeline straight, all right?
Direction the auto market...
I was born in 1982.
...headed in. Vehicles were growing more expensive prior to the pandemic, as automakers shifted away from pumping out cars for the mainstream toward a strategy of selling fewer, pricier vehicles that pulled in more profits. Many in the industry say that might be here to stay, meaning a lot of ordinary Americans will be locked out. Here are a few numbers that illustrate how tough it has become. Just 10 years ago, car payments were nearly half of what they are today. The average is $760 a month right now, but quite a few customers pay more than that. A near record number are paying over $1,000 a month and have been for 4 straight quarters.
The idea of you're going to pay, $700-800 a month for the next 6 years. I mean,
that's
it
insane.
just sounds.
And y'all listen. And now it's 6 and 7 year car payments, so they're stretching it out longer in order to lower y'all car payment. One of the ways that they finesse y'all, the biggest way that they finesse y'all, is they say this is what your car payment is. It's the same thing when they do it with houses. They say this is what your house payment would be. This is what you can afford as far as the payment. Listen, y'all, wake up. Tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Wake up, y'all. Okay? It's not about just the payment. Also, on top of that, your affordability is not based off of the payment. You have to start looking at how much you're giving over to the bank in interest. By the time that y'all pay off this 30-year mortgage, 360 payments, you've paid for the house 3 and 4 times over. And that's not even including all of the intangibles and the maintenance and the utilities and all of this stuff. By the time you pay off this car, and they stretch it out. When I was coming up, it had 5-year payments. It was 60 months. 60 months. Now they still saying, hey, man, it's based off of the payments. Now y'all got to pay it for 72 and 84 months. Y'all still going based off of the payment.
Crazy for a depreciating asset.
It is almost like borderline disturbing how acclimated everyone has gotten.
Everybody
to the
feel like
idea
they
of,
need a car.
I've
That's
got
stupid.
700. I've got 1,000. I've got all these dollar figures that other people say, hey, that's my rent. Hey, that's my mortgage from 10 years ago.
So payments are high, and it's not just because of inflation. Car payments rose twice as much as overall inflation from 2019 to 2024. 2 things drove this: high prices and high interest rates. High prices hit the used vehicle market first, where dealers can pretty much charge whatever they can get for a car. But soon they made their way into the new car market, which was hit by a severe shortage of new vehicles and parts. As manufacturing shut down around the world during the COVID pandemic, shortages popped up everywhere. First of cars in 2020, then of parts like semiconductors in 2021 and 2022. With supply so tight and demand so high, dealers and automakers didn't need to offer any incentives.
Jerry Lewis said, do you think that 25% of income on home and car combined is okay? I don't. I think that, listen, here's my goal, and this was always my thing. Minimize and lower the amount of money that you're spending on personal expenses and stop using your income and the money that you go to work for and you trade in your time for in order to pay for your lifestyle. That's the goal. The minute that you can eliminate the amount of money that you're paying for your lifestyle is when you get really rich, because then you don't have to pay taxes on the money that you invest in, and you can start to put all of that money into assets that you can write off as a tax benefit, and you can open up your businesses as a result of it. And then the amount of money that you break down, and I'm going to do a whole video on this. I'm going to break it down very much from a C-student perspective. The next video that I drop outside of Stock Club on Patreon, and I'm about to write a note right now, because I'm going to literally break this down for y'all all the way from a C-student's perspective of how it is that you can eliminate the amount of money that you're paying in personal taxes legally, all right? That you can eliminate paying in personal taxes legally, even if you don't necessarily own a business right off the bat, right? It is important for you to have a business. It is important for you to invest in yourself. But what I'm saying is the first step, and I know everybody want to say, oh man, invest in this, so you got to get into real estate. That's not it. It's a very, very, very basic step. The first step that you have to make if you want to get rich on a fundamental level, I don't care who is talking to you, I don't care what they tell you, is you have to eliminate your personal expenses. That's the first step. Half of the first step is eliminating the debt, because it's almost like trying to climb a mountain with rocks in your backpack. If you eliminate the amount of money that you're giving over to the banks, you then enable yourself to be able to deploy the capital over into things that actually is going to make you money long term. You're doing the reverse of what they're doing as far as the bank. So it's not, listen, the way that they sell y'all is this percentage of my income okay to be paying towards X or to Y? No, 0% of your income is okay for you to be paying to it. So the first step is to eliminate personal expenses. Why do you want to eliminate personal expenses? Because the first thing that you have to do is you got to go and trade in your time for money. So you go to work and you make whatever it is that you make. I don't care if you make $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $300,000 a year. In order to pay for that personal expense, you have to pay taxes on that money first, right? So they're going to get their money right off the top. In order to buy a personal expense, you got to pay taxes on the money first. That's why rich people focus on generating revenue through assets instead of trying to spend all of their money trying to impress people. And then they leverage their assets in order to use it to live the lifestyle that they want. I'm not going to break it down all the way here. I'm not going to get into it here. Y'all going to have to tap into the Patreon, and I'm going to break it all the way down from a C student's perspective. The money that you pay at the end of the year is not based off of the money that you make on your W-2. That's where people lose it. Oh man, I would rather be on my own business. It don't have nothing to do with just owning your own business. Your adjusted gross income, which is the amount of money that you make overall, whether it's from your W-2, 1099s, your businesses all together, they combine it all together. You file it on multiple different forms. Schedule C, W-2, some people just do the 1040 EZ. Y'all go over and y'all just give y'all taxes over to people. They say, oh man, okay, so this is how much you paid in taxes. How many dependents do you have? And then they average the difference of what you paid in taxes. That's what you get back, minus whatever incentives that they have for you in order to vote for somebody in the president's office. We don't think like that as rich people. Rich is a mindset first because you got to understand what you're doing. And then you become intentional. And so the money that you pay at the end of the year, let's say that you paid all of this money in taxes out of your regular paycheck, but because you didn't have to spend any money on your personal expenses, you deployed almost all of your capital into things that is investable and also that you can write off from a tax perspective legally, then you get all of the money back because they tax you based off of your adjusted gross income. So I'll use your 401k very simply as an example, right? Very simply. Okay, so you make $100,000 a year, right? And the tax brackets break down to where once you cross that $79,000, $80,000 tax threshold, depending on whether you're married or not, the tax brackets then jump exponentially. So people that may make $79,000 a year may be paying less in taxes than somebody that makes $100,000 a year. They actually keep it more. Well, you can eliminate that, right? So let's say I invest in my 401k. A lot of people say, only put whatever the match is into your 401k. Well, it depends. You have to evaluate it situation by situation. Well, why do I want to evaluate it situation by situation? Because if the max in investing in your 401k is $21,000, $22,000, $23,000 a year, which means that it's a pre-tax deduction. So I'm giving that money pre-tax without paying no taxes on it. You don't have to pay taxes on it until you start drawing, but it still invests in your net worth. Your net worth is still going up. It's still making money on top of you. I'm not just investing in my 401k because, I only get to match up to this amount. I'm a max out because if I make $100,000 a year, it reduces me into a tax bracket of about $77,000. So now I lower my tax bracket, increase my assets, and I pay less in taxes because my adjusted gross income is less the amount of money that I paid into my 401k. And so I'm keeping more of my money because I don't need as much of it in order to maintain my lifestyle. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm not evaluating it based off of the car note. I'm not evaluating it based off of the house note. I'm lowering my personal expenses so I can put more money in assets. And it's a lot of different asset classes. I'm putting more money in assets so that I can basically prevent myself from giving Biden bucks away. That's all y'all doing. Every time y'all make more money and y'all buy more stuff that's not adding value into your life, it's Biden bucks. And then they give it to Ukraine. They give it to Taiwan. They give it to Israel. They give it to social services. They give it to homeless camps. They give it to homeless luxury spending. They give it to migrants. They give it all of these things. And it's because you don't know. You're not thinking. You don't know any better. It's about understanding how money works from a C student's perspective. Every single individual circumstance is different. It depends on where you at in your life, what state that you live in, exactly what you make, what your tax threshold is, whether or not you're married or you're not married. And this is the reason why we have these communities. This is why we got the Discord. This is why we got the most powerful Patreon. In Patreon, nobody is messing with us because the deep dives into the money, the stocks, the ability to be able to start to put money in spaces that'll work for you, getting all of the tax write-offs, it begins when you're with a community of people that's like-minded that starts to think about what the possibilities are, and then they become incentivized to do the thing that's in their best interest instead of focusing on what their payment is going to be. It's not just about making more money. It's about understanding how money works. And so when we look at this and I say car payments or whatever, I look at this much differently than you look at it because I'm not trying to do it based off of what the car payment is. I would never buy a car based off of affordability rates or what the calculation is of what society is saying and what they're telling you on TikTok. These people don't know nothing. They don't know nothing. I look at these people with these budgets that make a whole bunch of money. They be making $250,000, $300,000 a year, and they be broke. This is what my budget is. Man, that's so elementary. We so past that. We running it up on some whole nother level type of stuff. It's a whole nother way of thinking. It's a whole nother opportunity for you to get rich and for you to, generational wealth don't have nothing to do with how much money you make. It has everything to do with the mindset you pass on to the people that's after you that allows for them to become successful, and then they can take what it is that you built. It's not about them having money. It's about them understanding how money works so they can make better decisions and not allow for themselves to give more than they have to people that's not going to do the thing that's in your best interest. You are your own best interest. You are. I'm going to do a whole video. I'm going to break it down all the way from a fundamental perspective. The first thing I do when I get back from off of my anniversary trip is I'm going to pour into y'all. I'm going to give y'all all of the game. Every single thing that you need in order to be successful. Let me see if there's anything more that I can get out of this.
Charging at or above MSRP was common. Anyone who bought a car pretty much at any point in the last 4 years paid historically high prices.
Those same expensive vehicles, though, live in the segments that today are experiencing the greatest amount of depreciation. So you might have somebody who really scored 2 years ago. They went to a dealership, they got a fantastic vehicle, good price, but now they've come back and they didn't realize that the rest of the market has evolved.
And then, of course, there are interest rates.
Anyone shopping for a new car is going to get a fair amount of sticker shock when they see the price of the car along with that higher interest rate.
The Federal Reserve set its target interest rate at 5.25% to 5.5% in July 2023. That isn't the actual rate someone will pay for a car loan or mortgage, but it does affect the overall cost of borrowing. Today, auto loan rates are just above 7%. In March 2022, before the Fed started raising rates, they were closer to 4%.
This is a significant jump. Not only are people paying more for their auto loan, but they're also paying more for the price of the car. So that combined higher prices plus higher loan rates makes car affordability particularly challenging for a lot of people trying to buy a car these days.
In addition, an alarming trend has taken root within a segment of borrowers. Those who decide to get a new car when the one they're driving is worth less than the money they owe on it. Something called negative equity. The average amount on those trade-ins hit an all-time high in the first quarter of 2024. Almost 25% of purchases were made by customers with negative equity.
What is negative equity? Negative equity is basically when you owe more on your car than it's worth or more than what you can trade it into. And so that, again, factors into what it is that y'all look at as far as y'all car payment. Oh, this is what I can afford. The dealer ain't tripping because you're just going to overlook the negative equity because you're going to say, oh, man, I want to trade my car and I want to get a new car, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, you got negative equity, but don't worry about it, baby girl. We're going to get you into a new car because you don't want to understand how money works. The only thing you want is to be able to drive it off the lot, make sure that you can afford it, and then be able to do what you want to do and feel good about yourself. So what they do is they roll that negative equity into the new car payment. The new car payment just becomes a part of the financing amount. They stretch it out for a longer period, and then you pay higher interest. And as long as you say that you can afford it, you'll take the deal, even though it's a bad deal, because you're basically going into another car payment with even more negative equity, and then you continue to roll that over. And then 3-4 years from now, you're going to do the same thing again and the same thing again. And you basically putting yourself and you saddling yourself with debt for the rest of your life. By the time that you turn 40, 50 years old, you're trying to figure out where all of your money went. It went into car payments. It went into car payments. You're basically rolling it over because the only thing that you're paying attention to is the car note, not the length, not the negative equity, not the interest rate that you're paying, not how much money you're giving over into the bank. You don't even look at your bank statements to see how much is going towards the principal and how much is going towards interest. The banks are making a killing. They making a killing. By the time that you get your car repossessed, 14 years from now, they done already made way more than it's ever going to cost for them to actually continue to finance your loan. And then you're going to do it all again because you just worried about good credit instead of being more worried about the amount of money that you got coming out of your bank account. So anyways, let's continue on with the show. Hold on. I did that wrong. Let me read a couple of super chats and then we're going to continue over. David Simpson says, someone said Carter as the worst president. I was just saying you're not that old. Oh, you saying I'm not that old in order to remember Carter. Not during my lifetime. I'm not familiar with it. Mike, a lot of people don't understand why Mike, that dude, send me a cash app almost every single day that we do the Millionaire Morning Show. Every day without fail. He said, listen to Anton, I owed $12,000 in taxes last year, started my business and write-offs. My write-offs left me owing only $4,000 now. Thanks, AD. People can't understand why people are so loyal when they support me because I put money in my people's pocket. If they intentional and they actually take the advice that I give them and they are part of the bag chasers, we gonna help them run it up. Shout out to y'all. Absolutely, I love y'all. All right, last segment of the show. We're gonna switch it over. I like to react to people. In order to better understand what their circumstance is. Somebody sent me this video and they said, Anton, it's this guy and his name is Corey Jones, I believe. Let me see. Corey Jones, 100,000 subscribers. I'm not sure exactly what this video is going to say, but he has 100,000 subscribers. And I guess the video is what his experience was in corporate America. So I'm going to check this video out. We're going to react to it, and we're going to see what he says. We want to give credit to the content creator. If you like what it is that he's saying or you like his platform, be sure to head over there and then subscribe to his channel and tell him that Anton from AntonDaniels.com sent you. And get it in, all right? Again, his name is Corey Jones. As of the recording of this video, he has 100,000 subscribers. And we're going to get into it, all right? Let's get it popping.
Okay, guys, I'm finally making this video for you all because I know I've been promising this video for y'all. Today, I am going to be talking about my experience and journey in corporate America as a Black male. I've had ups, I've had downs, I've witnessed bias, I've witnessed discrimination. So yeah, happy to share my experience with y'all and share.
Wait a minute, how long is this video before we get into this? Is this moving a little? Woo! 30 minutes. All right, we gotta speed this up. We're gonna be jumping through this to see where we can get the meat out of this thing.
Share this story. I've enjoyed my experience and my journey to get to where I am now in my life. Everything that I talk about today, you know, has propelled me and elevated me in a way that I can't even move, how to maneuver everything that you go through in life. You can't start this video without saying like how I even got started, right? And I hope some of y'all watch my started. So as some of you all know, I started off in the hotel industry, honestly. I graduated from the University of South Carolina with a management degree focused in hospitality management and wanted to get into hotel management, resort management, be a GM, open up my own hotel. That ended up pivoting. But my experience in the hotel industry, it wasn't bad at all. I just hated dealing with customers. Like,
listen, don't go into hospitality management as a degree when you go into college. Get a STEM degree. A STEM degree. A lot of people that want to become the CEOs, a lot of these companies are engineers. You don't have to go into hospitality management in order to manage a hotel. And I think that a lot of people pick a lot of these degrees because it's an easier path to getting a degree, but that is absolutely one of the worst things that you can do is to go into hospitality management. I know a lot of people that's just basically a hotel desk clerk because they got a degree in hospitality management.
Customer and guest is a pain. And also the money wasn't the way it needed to be for all the stuff you had to do to move up. But that's for another day. I ended up pivoting to get into higher education. So higher education, if y'all don't know, that's when you work for a university, in the school system, college system, things like that. So I ended up going back to the University of South Carolina, and there I was a admissions counselor / recruiter for 2 years. And then I spent a year as a multicultural coordinator, assisting with some of our multicultural programs. I stayed there for like 2.5, 3 years. I enjoyed it there. My experience there was great. It was a wonderful atmosphere. Coworkers was great. Never experienced any bias. Never experienced like any discrimination.
Well, of course you didn't, because you was a multicultural coordinator. That just sounds like diversity, equity, and inclusion. I will say that working at a university, because I worked at a university myself, except for I was a software engineer for the University of Michigan. It is a much more enjoyable experience. It's less high pressure. It's not a privately owned entity. You know what I'm saying? It is when you do your 401k, it's not a 401k. I think it's a 403b or something like that. It is a nonprofit organization. And so it's always going to be much easier. It's going to be a lot more pleasant. It's not going to be as high pressure. And so you're going to have a much more enjoyable experience. However, I don't know how he got a degree and then pivoted over into working at a university in a multicultural diversity, equity, and inclusion and anything like that. Sounds like another piece of funding that they put inside of the university that didn't necessarily need, right, multicultural experiences. We can eliminate that job. We're going to go ahead and do layoffs. But you don't make no money at the university like that. You get a whole lot of benefits. You get job security. You get a lot of things, but you don't necessarily make any money. So if you want to have some stability, you don't have to worry about getting laid off. You want to have a good time. You want to be a little bit more passive. You're never going to really be getting fired at that particular job. Then working at a university is absolutely one of the ways to go. And you get a lot of perks. I got a double match for my 403b. They had some of the best benefits. I got like basically over 2 months off per year. And then you was able to roll over like 10 weeks into the next year. So it was awesome on that front. But you're not going to make no real money doing it. But they also, another one of the perks and the benefits that I leverage, and one of the reasons why I chose to work at the University of Michigan as a software engineer, was A, to get the experience in corporate America as far as the tech space, but B, they paid for me to go to a major university in order to continue my bachelor's degree. And so I leveraged it, went to the community college. When I wind up going over to the major university and working there, then I also got free schooling. And so that allowed for me to basically minimize the amount of debt that I had to take on in order to get your software engineering degree. So it's a lot of benefits and perks that go along with it, but you're just not going to really make no whole lot of money. And so you got to have your own business and your own stack that you're getting on the side. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody was happy to be there. The campus was beautiful. Students was great. Like, it was a great job. The only problem was the pay. The pay sucked. And y'all have to go back and watch the video to understand, why. Where I was in my life, I needed to make more. You know what I'm saying? I needed to provide more. So that's why I had to leave that job.
Sorry about that. It's a dope produced video though.
So when I left that job, I ended up applying to a bunch of jobs, y'all. I applied to job after job. I had interviews with NASCAR. I had interviews with Airbnb, Twitter, a whole bunch of companies. Anyway, I ended up landing my first corporate job as a contractor. So I ended up applying for a recruiter job at Deloitte. They contacted me. They was like, yo, we're giving this recruiter role to someone else, but would you be open to a recruiting coordinator role? I was like, recruiting coordinator role. Mind you,
a lot of people are incredibly skeptical about joining an organization as a contractor. I think that is one of the best things that you can do, but one of the benefits or one of the drawbacks and benefits, depending on what it is that you're doing, of joining things as a contractor is you got to actually be worth your salt, because A, you're going to get paid basically as a 1099 employee or a 1099er, or basically as your own business. And so you're not an actual employee of the business. You make a little bit more money. On the flip side, though, is that in order for you to get hired in, because a lot of people's objective is to get hired in, get the benefits and all of that stuff. In order for you to get hired in, you basically either going to get your contract renewed or you're going to get hired in, depending on the business climate and whether or not they like you. But the easiest way for you to get in there is for the path of least resistance to go in as a contractor. Most of the time you do get hired in, and you become a lot more successful as a result of it. I even went into the University of Michigan as a contractor and then got hired in and then went from there. So don't be afraid to go into a company as a contractor if you worth your salt. If you know what you're doing, and you know that they're going to value you, or you know that you're going to be able to prove that you're a great employee, don't be afraid to go in as a contractor. You will more than likely get hired as a person.
I didn't know much about it. I was like, cool. And then they was like, the only caveat is, I know that you applied in Charlotte, but we would need you to move to Atlanta for this particular role. I was like, all right, cool. I got family there. I'll move to Atlanta for a contract role, figure the rest out. So a recruiting coordinator is basically you help out recruiters with scheduling, office visits, things like that. So you're not out there doing the recruitment, but it's a good stepping stone to becoming a recruiter. My contract was technically for 6 months. So I started the role, moved down to Atlanta, went into the office. First person I saw was a black young lady. Crystal, if you're watching this, I appreciate you. The only black person that was technically on the team that I was on. She welcomed me with open arms. She was the first person I seen when I walked in the building. You know, I'm dressed in, the Deloitte attire. If y'all know Deloitte, you got some.
Y'all got to stop. A lot of these people, and I'm not speaking to his experience in particular, I'm just using it as a talking point. Y'all have to stop thinking that the only thing that you should be looking for or the only people that you should be networking with is people that look like you. I know that we like identity politics and we always, oh man, you the black person. If you want to stand out in corporate America, if you want to be great in any way, shape, or form, you have to separate yourself by not only talking to other black people, you have to be a part of everybody. Now, I know y'all look for a little bit more comfortability by getting with black people and stuff like that, but the opportunities come from networking with people that don't look like you also. It's a bigger pool and it's a bigger slice of the pie if you rock out with also people that don't look like you and don't look to only get help from or ask help from or only align yourself with people that look like you. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I see from black people in corporate America.
Khakis on, you got the button down on, you got a little brief thing, so I was ready. Crystal was very cool, you know what I'm saying? I'm still cool with Crystal to this day. One of my best friends that is a woman for short. Me and Crystal, we was like this, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know when you got that one friend in the office, y'all be here. But anyway, we was on the team and she was a coordinator and I was a coordinator. I was a coordinator for a couple of recruiters. She was a coordinator for a couple of recruiters. Both Crystal and I had the same manager since we both were coordinators. So this is where I got my first taste of being like a black male in corporate America. And it didn't help that I was the only black male on the coordinator team in like the Southeast. Maybe it was like maybe one or two of us, man. My first issue came when me and my manager, we would be talking and things like that. And I thought she trusted me, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't do anything for her not to trust me or anything like that. Somehow she told Crystal like, oh, I don't think Corey's happy in his role, this and that. Can you talk to him and see? So Crystal told me, she was like, yeah, like such and such said that she feel like you're not happy on the team and you don't want to be here. And I was like, what? I ain't even doing that. I'm still trying to learn the role. I don't know what's going on. So that was the first thing. I was like, that's weird. I never experienced like another person going to another person directly about me without coming to me. And I remember Crystal saying, yeah, she said she feel like she can't gauge you or she can't really understand, not even understand. I think the word she used, like she can't read you or she can't gauge you. And I was like, what? Why she just didn't ask me or come to me in one of our one-on-ones and say, hey, y'all did like. So the second thing that happened on this team was one of the recruiters that I was assigned to as far as like being a coordinator for.
I'm trying to understand where the black part comes in. He may have a gripe and maybe even a legitimate gripe about the professionalism of the person that he's supposed to be up under, coming to him in particular, which I also have to ask myself the question of why they had the impression that it seemed as though he wasn't a person that liked his role. But on top of that, I have to ask myself the question and say, how does that factor into you being a black man in corporate America? I don't understand what a correlation with the race part is.
She started treating me like I was just a little go boy. Like, that's it. Like, I remember, I'll never forget this. And I was pissed. I was working like maybe late. It was like 6 o'clock. I was working late, working on scheduling some interviews. And she emailed me and she was like, hey, can you get this pizza order out for me? And in the email, she had every detail, where the pizza needed to go, what the actual pizzas was, how many pizzas, what the toppings were. She was actually on campus recruitment and needed these pizzas to come. Mind you, I'm doing work. So I saw the email. I was like, what? The amount of time that it just could have took her to pick up the phone and order those pizzas. She went and made the email to send to me so I could then order these pizzas for her. It was the weirdest thing ever. So then I was like, this is so weird between my manager and then her. It was just wild to me because I never experienced anything like that. This is probably like month 4 within the contract. Remember, I have 6 months in. I was like, they probably are not going to renew my contract even if they could, because I just have this bad vibe. You know what I'm saying? So then I started interviewing with other companies. Crystal hooked me up with one of her people that they was looking for a role at Accenture. Ended up applying to that role to be a campus recruiter for the AUC. And then that's when.
So he knew that he wasn't meeting expectations. He knew that he wasn't meeting expectations. And so he was smart enough. I'm going to give him some credit and then I'm going to give him some criticism. He knew that he wasn't meeting expectations, so he was smart enough to go and start looking for another job before he lost the one that he had. All right. And then secondly, on top of that though, I'm not trying to figure out why my boss is doing what they're doing. The only thing that I'm trying to do is be a good cultural fit and make sure that I'm running up a bag and then I'm putting myself in a position to get a bigger bag as a result of it. Man, I don't care nothing about what my boss is and doing all of that stuff. Man, I don't care what the goal is. Listen, am I getting paid for the time that I'm there? So what? You want me to order a pizza or whatever? All right, cool. I'm going to order a pizza and get this popping off. One of the things that I did in corporate America that allowed for me to level up is that I always volunteered to do the small things. Whenever we would have a town hall, whenever we would have, this or have that or whatever like that, like I did or I volunteered to do that stuff, and I was making a ton of money or I was in a higher position, but I would go out and I would pick up the paper towels and I would volunteer to be the announcer in order to get more visibility in front of certain people. I would introduce myself and I would leverage it as an opportunity. And I would always do it with good energy and with a good attitude, because it's not about, I was getting paid anyway. I was getting paid to be there no matter what. What do I care whether or not they making me go get pizzas or anything like that? That doesn't mean anything to me. The only thing I care about is making sure that I have a good attitude, be a good cultural fit, that people like to work with me and that they remember me in a positive way. I don't care nothing about all of that stuff, but let me continue.
And I started my next role. So I ended up leaving Deloitte before my contract was even over. Deuces, I'm out, and went over to Accenture.
Smart.
To leave Deloitte, I was happy to get up off that team because what I was experiencing, it was just, as y'all can see, it was just rough to be in that type of atmosphere, in that environment. So when I got to Accenture, everything was good. I had to recruit for the AUC, which is its own team. So Morehouse, Spelman, and Clark Atlanta had to recruit at those schools, be on campus, host events, hire, everything like that. And then I also had Georgia State, which was rolling out, and then I was taking on Kennesaw State. And then on my team, I had maybe 3 other recruiters with me, and we had some recruiting coordinators that used to help out. And due to my experience at Deloitte, I knew how to treat recruiting coordinators with respect. Don't just treat them as go boys and just to be saying, hey, do this for me, do this for me. So I kind of knew how to treat coordinators, and they respected that. And also all the recruiters on this team was cool too. Everybody was cool. It was a great time. It was me and this other girl that started, Nicole, if you're watching, shout out to you, Nicole. She started the same time. We was like, boom. And then the other recruiter, she was on the team probably 3-4 years before me, and then some other recruiters, but everybody was cool. My manager ended up getting a job and leaving. And then that's when everything went downhill. So one of the recruiters that was working there before me ended up moving into that manager role. Now I was on campus all the time. I was, at Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Spelman, on campus hosting.
If everywhere that you go, you have problems, it may not be because you're a black man. It may be because it's a you problem. Just my experience. I don't know what that is. All I could do is take what he's saying at face value. If I go here and I have a problem, and then I go here that I have a problem, and then I go here that I have a problem, and it's always, well, when my manager leaves, it's always, oh man, it started to go. If everywhere that I go in corporate that I start having similar problems, regardless of where I go, I'm going to have to start evaluating the role that I'm playing and how it is that I'm presenting myself instead of holding everybody else accountable or holding quote unquote corporate America accountable for what it is that I'm getting from a results perspective. But let me hear some more.
Events, doing things the way they need to be done. You know what I'm saying? Campus team, making a relationship with the campus team. I was new, so I was still learning. I was still making mistakes. I was still, learning along the way.
So you was learning
still
on the
fresh.
job,
I was doing a great job. We had the highest percentage of accept rates when it came to offers. We hosted the most events. We was named the top employer on campus. And this was around the time where I got selected for the YouTube Next Up program. And they said, yo, we gonna fly you out to LA for a week and with other creators, and we gonna give y'all $10,000 and y'all can do whatever y'all want with it and a voucher. I said, yo, I gotta do this. So I told my manager, I was like, look, I'm gonna be using PTO. And I didn't have to tell her what I'll be using PTO for. I had the days. I said, I'm gonna take a week off using my PTO on this particular week. I said, since you're my manager, I'm gonna tell you what's going on. I said, I'm taking.
Wrong. I just had a coaching call with somebody the other day, and they said, Anton, how much of my personal life should I be exposing in corporate America? And I said, practically none, only the part that allows for you to continue to level up so that people are not criticizing you and even evaluating whether or not you have other employment opportunities or you got other stuff going on outside of whatever it is that you're doing. When I was in corporate America, it's a reason why my YouTube content was super family friendly and all of this stuff. And I waited until after I left corporate America before I actually started to deep dive into the stuff that I really wanted to talk about and on social media, because I knew that based off of the trajectory of where I was going in corporate America, it was not going to be friendly. It was not going to be cool. Overly being friendly and telling your business, this don't have nothing to do with being black in corporate America. This got everything to do with you not understanding that these people are not your friends. They are your work colleagues. They are your connection. They are your network. And talking too much, doing too much, thinking that people are your friends is the fastest way to get yourself fast-tracked up out of there. Going and talking about, oh man, I'm a part of the YouTube creator program. All right, so now they're going to research it. They're going to start having conversations about what you're doing, what you got going on outside of work, whether or not you're creating content during work hours or whatever. You just make yourself a target. Talking too much, bro.
In a week off of PTO because, I got selected for the YouTube Next Up program and they're flying out maybe 10 creators out to LA to do X, Y, and Z, so I'm excited about this. So I'm gonna use my PTO so I can do that. She's like, all right, cool. Yeah, we'll have somebody cover for you, yada, yada, yada. I went, did that, come back. I'm hopping on like team calls and stuff like that to help other teams and stuff like that. And this one girl's like, oh yeah, I heard, I think somebody said your manager said that you don't want to be here. I was like, don't want to be.
Look, not what? I don't know what's going on. What? Why would she say that? That's not what I said to her. This is just like fucking high school. I'm sorry. I know that y'all out here in the churches and y'all doing daycare. This is just like high school. You don't want to expose this is his fault. Honestly, objectively speaking, all of the problems that he's having right now, based off of what he's communicated up to this point, is 100%, and I know that people probably in his comments is probably supporting and saying, oh man, it's their fault or whatever, and that's how people do. They're not objective in order to be able to call you out on your shit. This is why you need mentors. This is why you... Sorry about that. Got a little bit of hung up, but we good. We back. Let's continue.
What you mean don't want to be here? She's like, she told somebody you're not serious about your role. You don't want to be here. You just want to do content creation, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I never said none of that. I ain't never said none of that. So everybody on that team think anytime I get deployed to their team to help them out, I ain't gonna do no work and I don't want to be there. So she done started this rumor that I don't want to be there and I'm not doing no work, and people are starting to perceive me that way when my numbers and everything like that speak for itself. So that was flag number one. Flag number two is...
Now the flag is on your part. Listen, y'all, at some point we got to take personal ownership and responsibility for the thing that we put ourselves in. Stop talking about your personal business with people that you work with. Keep it real G, keep it real kosher. And don't talk about who you sleeping with, none of that. Hey, oh no, keep it real G, real general, and be a cultural fit. You there to make money, not to make friends.
Every time we have a one-on-one call, she ain't never said anything like that. Every time we have a one-on-one call, I'm asking her like, yo, I'm trying to grow in my recruiting career. Any type of advice that you want to give me, any professional development, anything like that. I'll just give her some frequent updates of what's going on campus, where I'll be during that week. Because mind you, in this role, you had to be on campus, talking to the career centers, talking to the students, also doing your primary job as well as putting candidates through the process and all that.
Do you know that every last one of my colleagues that I work with have no clue about what it is that I got going on outside? They don't know nothing about my real estate. They don't know nothing about, they know I'm married. They don't know if I got kids. They don't know none of that. And the reason that I told them that I'm married is because it makes me look better in this corporate environment, because being a married man, being a married grown man makes me more marketable. The guy that ultimately brought me in, he's no longer with the company, but the guy that recruited me and brought me in and said, hey, Anton, come check it out. That was a former colleague that I had somewhere else. But everybody else, they don't know nothing about what I got going on. They don't know nothing about me. They don't know nothing that I have going on outside of how I deliver to them in corporate America. It ain't none of their business at all.
That stuff. So I was on campus almost on a weekly basis down at the AUC. And I would be on campus working in the student union, actually doing emails and stuff like that because I didn't have time. So anytime I used to do content creation, it used to be around like 10 p.m. at night, 11 p.m. at night when I'm done working and I have some time. She had a conversation with me and she was like, I feel like I don't know what you're doing or where you're at. I was like, you have access to my calendar. In our one-on-ones, I tell you where I'm going to be at, what events I'm hosting. You hop in on our AUC calls sometimes and you're there. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. Like, I'm giving you the visibility. She
should just leave right
decided
now.
to tell her manager that I wasn't doing no work and that I wasn't serious about my role and things like that. And this is when they started to try to create a plan to get me up out of there. We get to the point to where she's like, okay, for now on, I need you to send me every Friday at 3 p.m. I need you to send me an email recapping everything you've done for the week. I was like,
Yep, you get
okay,
there, big
I can do that. So
This
I
don't
did
have
that.
nothing to do
I
with
think
being
she thought
black.
I wouldn't do it. Every single week I'm doing them. Boom. Probably 2 weeks after that is a call on my calendar with her and her manager. I was like, oh man, what's going on?
About to put him on a PIP, boy.
She done rolled up a PIP plan. If y'all don't know a PIP
I
plan,
knew it. Listen. Honest to God on everything. Honest to God on everything. And I don't even know if his performance was good or bad. It doesn't even matter. Honest to God, on my father's grave, on everything, I've never seen this video. I've never seen this before. This is my first time hearing about this. I knew that it was going to put him on a PIP because I understand how corporate works. I knew it. 1,000%. I knew that a PIP was coming, a performance improvement plan. Same thing I put true to myself on, and then he wound up nagging himself out and getting up out of here. I knew that they was about to put that boy on a PIP. Immediately, he should have been looking for another job right then and there.
that is a plan for you to improve, and if you don't improve, you get fired. I'm on the call with her and her manager,
Probably had a
and she telling me this, and I just feel like this, and it's a lot of I feel like, but it's no I knows or any demonstrations or you missing this. It's like I feel like this, and I feel like that, and I feel like you're this, and I feel like she told me she feel like I don't talk to the team. I don't talk to the team. When I talk to everybody on the team on an individual basis, during team calls, I'm not saying too much because everybody got their own stuff to say. Unless I really need to say it, I'll say it. I'll kiki here and there, but I don't have much to input. Granted, I'm still new anyway. I'm about 2.5 years in at this point. I'm still learning as I go. I'm not trying to be the subject matter expert just yet. I'm still, I'm still doing my thing. And she's saying, well, yeah, I feel like you need
Still trying to learn after 2 years, big dog?
Be more outgoing and this and that. I was like, I was so confused. I was so confused at why I was being put on a performance improvement plan because like I said, I had some of the highest numbers on the team. It was crazy. So then I knew they was trying to get me up out of there. So as y'all can see where this is going. So I'm on this performance improvement plan. It went from me having to
I like that setup in the background. That's pretty dope.
Email her every single week on Friday to every single day at 3 p.m. I got to email her what I worked on every single day. So then in the performance improvement plan, it said I need to reach out to teammates even more. So then I had to start kikiing with everybody on the team. I had to be making small talk. I had to be like, how's your dog doing? How's your kitten doing? Pinging people.
Been doing that anyway.
Man, I was getting done. I was doing a runaround, bro. Oh, let me rewind. Also, after the call with her and her manager, I said, yo, I'm gonna have just a conversation with her manager without her. So that's what I did.
Oh, this boy like enemies. This boy like enemies. Oh, if I'm him, before I get myself put up out of there, and I'm gonna be doing two things at the same time. The first thing that I'm gonna be doing is networking and looking for a new position because I know that my time is gonna be limited there. In the meantime, I'm gonna make sure that I pull my manager aside and say, hey, listen, whatever it takes in order for me to be successful, my job is to make you look good. And, I apologize for this, whatever, because the humility part don't necessarily mean that you have to think that you're wrong. The only thing that you have to do is humble yourself and put yourself in a position to continue to get the bag. The goal is the bag. The goal is the bag. I am there to make money. I am not there in order to take y'all home with me. What happens on the weekend is my time. What happened during the time that I'm here, I need to make sure that I protect the bag until I can get another bag. I'm pulling my manager aside and I'm gonna give them a different disposition about who I am and help them and try to humble myself in front of them to make sure that I'm getting the best results possible. And again, I don't know what his performance was or whatever because I wasn't there. The only thing I'm going based off is what my experiences are dealing with people in corporate America on a regular basis.
I had a conversation. The manager's like, I just think that y'all have some communication issues. Honestly, I think that's the main thing. Y'all need to communicate with each other more. And I was like, in our one-on-ones, that's what they're for. I'm communicating with her. I'm telling her what I'm doing. I'm telling her where I'm gonna be, what's going on, what's the results. I don't know what else I can do in order to communicate. She's not communicating with me. She's not telling me how she feel or what she want me to do or where she feel I need improvement at or where's the feedback or what if she can help me. Like, she's not telling me. So we used to go to our one-on-ones and she didn't
YouTube channel too.
Have not one bullet point for me. She just waited for me to say something or whatever, and that's it. Which that's okay. But if you have feedback or you have something you need to tell me, you put it on the agenda and we talk about it. But she had nothing. She just came on a one-on-one. Hey, how you doing? What you got for me? And I tell her, and that's it. So, yeah, after I had the conversation with her manager was like, yeah, y'all just have communication issues. That's all it is. She was like, I feel like your performance have been great from my point of view, but she's the one that's directly managing you, and it just sounds like y'all have communication issues. And I think that's the main thing. But either way, after the time has passed for my performance improvement plan, I rocked it out.
I remember this guy.
I was good. They ain't had no case to fire me. They ain't had. At the end of it, they kept me because I did everything that I needed to do.
I remember this guy. I did a review video on this guy before. Yeah. He did this thing on him getting divorced. I think I did a review video on this. He did a video about getting divorced and his divorce story. Yeah. They're probably watching your YouTube videos, all of this stuff. Aruba, chaos in Aruba. I remember this guy. He had a video go viral and then he kind of disappeared for a while, it looks like. It doesn't look like he's doing anything too bad, though. No, his stuff is pretty family friendly, so I can't necessarily say that. I don't know what that YouTube trip was that did any. I don't know if that ever did anything, but I don't know where I don't know. Yeah, his stuff seems pretty family friendly. I don't see anything wrong with it, but still letting people too much into your life in corporate America, I don't know, man. All right, let's continue on with the show. See if he got anything else to add into this.
I've been doing the same as.
So he got divorced. I remember him having that divorce, and that video went viral. This guy is just a victim. He's a perpetual victim.
Stuff that I was doing before I was even put on that plan. So I already knew the plan wasn't going to be to fire me because I'm doing everything that's already on the plan. I wish I would have kept that plan. I thought I did.
Hey, listen, y'all. If y'all plan on continuing to be in corporate America, and I don't know what his job is. I don't know if he's working in corporate America. I don't know if he's just a full-time YouTuber. I don't know if he got his own business. I don't know what he got going on. I'm just reviewing this video because y'all sent it to me. If y'all plan on being in corporate America after this, like, you can't be complaining about being in corporate America. It's a bad marketing tool for yourself if people look you up online. If you are going to continue to stay in corporate America, you can't talk about how you don't like what was going on at corporate America. It is a bad marketing strategy, in my personal opinion.
We ended up having a reorg on our recruitment team. Some recruiters got outplaced somewhere else. I got put on a candidate management team. So now I got a new manager. Me and that manager was like, here, we was good. We was good. Everything's good. I was doing my work. One-on-ones went great. Everything was good. I'm finally feeling like I have what I need in order to be good. Thankfully, during this time, I wasn't looking at the time. I was looking, but then when we got pivoted to another team, I wasn't looking anymore. But I ended up getting a message from a recruiter on LinkedIn 2 times, one for a contracting role and one for a full-time role. First, it was a contract role. It was like, hey, we got a contract recruiter role. Wouldn't mind you joining the team, yada, yada, yada. Would you be okay having a call? Had the call, was going through the interview process. Then another recruiter reached out for a full-time recruiter role. And I was like, you know something? I'd rather go that route. And, you know, both of them at Google. So I was like, shoot, put me on. You know what I'm saying? So went through the interview process with Google, got that, left Accenture. I said deuces to Accenture. And end up going over to Google. And honestly, at Google, this has been the best experience I've had as a black male on a team. And yet, I'm still the only black male on the team.
I'm still trying to understand where the black part comes in. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Where is the black part coming in? Because I don't see any racism or anything like that.
One of the few in recruiting.
You crazy,
but
Tia.
My experience have been great. My teammates are great. My manager is great. She understands me. I understand her. She know how I can contribute to the team, and she utilized my strengths. And you know, that's how it's supposed to be. Now, I will say, even with a great experience at Google, I still feel like as a black male, I have to prove myself in, week out. I'm sometimes placed in positions to where I have to prove myself time in and time out. I'm capable. I know what I'm doing. I've been in recruiting for X amount of years. It's only but so many ways you could talk to a candidate. So many ways you could give out an offer. So many ways you can schedule interviews. There's so many ways for you to source candidates. There's so many ways to, like, sometimes some of the information, the things that you do in recruitment is the same. It's just different per role, and you just have to plug in what it is for that role. So for me, the job as a recruiter isn't hard at all. I know what I'm doing. I'm a very personable person. All my candidates love me. My candidate experience rating is high. Like, I know what I'm doing. So like sometimes when I get placed on a different role that I didn't work on, it's like sometimes like micromanaging by people that maybe have been on that team before. That's just been my experience, man. My experience in corporate America as a black male, it's not easy. Day in and day out, you gotta, you know, prove yourself, and especially if you don't fit the mold and what they want you to be. So not technically just the color of your skin, but by the way you talk, by the way you act, by the way.
I don't understand what the color of your skin got to do with any of these stories. All of these stories, honestly, I don't understand. It don't have nothing to do with gender. It don't have nothing to do with color of your skin. It don't have nothing to do with none of that. I've listened to the whole thing, this whole thing up to this point, and I have not seen anything relative to racism or genderism or whatever isms that y'all think that this is making sense. I don't understand what being a black man in corporate have to do with any of these stories, but let's continue. Maybe it's just clickbait.
The way you know, do your job. Like I always say, I'm a personable recruiter. I'm a laid back recruiter. I'm not about to get on the phone with you and be like, hey, how you doing? And fake it. You know what I'm saying? And candidates love that I'm able to just have a conversation with them, cool, calm, and collected. I'm not forcing them. I'm not, down their throat. I'm not loud. I'm not fully overly excited. Like, we here. Like, I understand what's going on. I've been in your shoes before, and we're going to try to get you to the finish line, and that's how it is. And they always appreciate me because, for one, I respond quickly, and two, I'm personable, and three, I'm not trying to always sell them something and always sound extra excited and things like that. Like, I'm myself, and they appreciate that. I think the role of a recruiter differs. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have your extremely excited people. You're going to have your people that is a laid back. You're going to have your people. Like, it's not one-sided. But I do feel like at Accenture, my manager there was trying to make it one-sided. Like, just because I did things differently and it was successful for me, that means that I'm not doing my job and don't belong in that role. And the way I'm doing is just being me, by the color of my skin, by the way that I talk, and by my demeanor. But the results show that it's successful. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, my team at Google right now, I love my team, man. Everybody is great. Anytime you join a new team, a new company, you definitely got to prove yourself. You got to prove yourself more than others. That's just my experience. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes what you have on paper, what you've done in the past, people want to see for themselves if you can do that same thing. I don't know how many times I've told people like, yeah, in my past role, I had to do this and this don't even compare to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm used to this. I know what I'm doing. Like, cool. But they don't treat it as such. They want to see that, oh, he can handle that. He's capable. You know what I'm saying? That is, sometimes the challenge, man, in corporate America. But yeah, like I said, I enjoy my job. I enjoy working at Google, great team. And out of all the companies that I've worked at, I haven't had an experience where I felt like I've been discriminated against or there's been any bias at Google. So I do appreciate how they've outlined the culture and how they've embraced.
All right. It sounds like it is what it is. So that's him. Again, his name is Corey Jones. If you guys rock with his content, and go over there and let him know that Anton from AntonDaniels.com sent you. I always like to give credit where credit is due, regardless of whether or not I agree or I disagree with some stuff that I understand, and other things I'm just not understanding what he's trying to communicate. But it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Let me read some of the super chats. I don't know if I missed any, but hopefully I get everything because I got frozen for a second. Self-sabotage at its finest. Shout out to my dog, A.R. Smitty. I appreciate you for holding me down. Kenya from Cali says, when I started as a marketing manager, I helped my boss order lunch for a meeting. Next month, she asked me to lead projects with VP directors because she knows I'm easy to work with. That's what I'm talking about. Wealth building journey this is how not to in office politics 101. Shout out to you. I appreciate your wealth building journey. This is why I won't work under no female. I've had a really good experience working under women. Spider Clamp says, working for a corporation just like being sick and treated by the medical industry, 99% of the time you're nothing but a number. Everyone can be replaced. Shout out to Spider Clamp. I appreciate y'all and thank y'all for everybody for rocking out. We went a little bit over today. Jay Ben, my dog, says he needs to network with non-black folks at work more. Performance is performance. Can't be complacent in corporate. I agree. Shout out to my dog, Jay Ben. All right, y'all. So listen. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. The link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Get that Tiege Hanley. 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. That link is in the description. And then last but not least, tomorrow we will do a premiere because I will be watching this at the same time as you guys. So I have a pre-recorded show that I'm going to be dropping tomorrow for you guys. And it's going to be the same thing. So I expect for y'all to get this work. Come and get this work because I'm putting just as much effort into that as I put into these daily live streams. And I think tomorrow we're going to have a premiere of my new show that I got dropping on the Anton Daniels channel. So probably going to do after hours tonight. We're going to see what's happening out here in these streets. And then we're going to get it popping. All right. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I've had women managers, sister. I've had women that was in, certain positions in corporate America and stuff. I didn't have any problem with them. As a matter of fact, one of the best experiences that I've ever had was working with a woman. She wound up dying of cancer, but was working with a woman that did what it is she had to do in order to ensure that I got the bag. So, yeah, man, we chilling. We getting it in slow motion. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all do the things that's in your own best interest. Hopefully y'all enjoying all of the content that we dropping. And we going to get into it, all right? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Hopefully, hopefully y'all love the show that I'm creating for y'all. That's going to drop on Wednesday, all right? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later.